Yeah, I got 6:30. Good evening, folks. I'd like to call the Leominster Planning Board to order, September 15, 2025, at 6:30. And we have a 6:30 continued public meeting for the site plan of 591-603 North Main Street, map 206, parcel 17 and 18, parking area for a car dealership.
Chair, there's a memo in front of you that you just received this evening from the applicant requesting to withdraw the application without prejudice.
Okay. Well, we have a memo from the applicant requesting that this withdrawn without prejudice. I need a motion to accept that?
Oh, okay, we're gonna vote on it now, not in the regular meeting?
No, we're gonna close the hearing. The motion is to close the
Okay.
hearing. We have a motion made and second to close the hearing. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. Motion carries.
6:31.
6:31, open public hearing, city council petition 3-26, Glenn Eaton, executive director, Montezut Regional Planning Commission, request to amend the zoning ordinance to replace Article 15, accessory apartments, with a new Article 15 that complies with recently passed state law, and make other changes to implement the new ordinance.
Chair, I believe we have Karen Chapman here from the Montezut Regional Planning Commission.
Okay?
And there's a memo in front of you that was provided by Joseph Boyle, and it goes over all the proposed amendments.
Okay, thank you. Good evening. Could you sort of fill us in on where we are and what we...
Thank you. So I have not been working on this project. My planner, Joe Boyle, has, and he's at another public hearing tonight. So I'm filling in for him, so I'm hoping I can give you the story. So as you know, the state passed a new accessory dwelling unit law that allows accessory dwelling units by right. So we've been updating our community's bylaws and ordinances to comply with that law. So that's what this is.
Okay,
Do you want to go through it, or how?
well, I think we have to.
I have some highlights that I can read.
Okay,
So Leominster requested a DLTA grant for a project to develop a new ADU ordinance. And MRPC worked with a working group from City Hall, including code enforcement, planning, economic development, and building, to craft the ordinance. So one ADU is allowed by right on a lot with a principal residence by right. Special permit requirement has been removed, and no second ADUs are allowed. By right refers only to its zoning status. Septics, wetlands, and other laws may limit development, still apply. All principal residential structures, not just single-family homes, can have an accessory dwelling unit as per state law. Requirements for owner occupancy only by family relations is no longer legal. It can be anyone. ADUs can be within the principal residential structure, in an addition to the structure, in a new outbuilding, or in a pre-existing outbuilding. New detached ADUs are limited to the side and rear yard. Only ADUs located in an addition can be located in the front yard. ADUs in new structures must meet the setbacks of the zoning. ADUs may be built by right in existing outbuildings as per state law. Existing outbuildings like detached garages or sheds that encroach on setbacks or are located in the front yard may be redeveloped for an ADU, but the work cannot increase the nonconformity. No site plan review. This is written for the use of the ordinary homeowner to avoid lengthy and expensive review process, and would be reviewed by the building commissioner through the building permit process. We've removed ADUs from the table of uses to clearly distinguish between a first ADU, which is allowed by right, and additional ADUs, which are not allowed. We removed single-family homes from the special permit provision of the BB district, so the ADU bylaw will not apply there. Please note that there are many paths to construct an apartment in the BB district. This new bylaw establishes parking requirements of 1 parking space per ADU unless the property is located within a half-mile of a transit or bus station. These amendments were submitted to the City Council and public hearing was opened last week. The council recommended 2 changes. The term accessory apartment was eliminated entirely and all references changed to accessory dwelling unit for clarity. The language of 90.1.6 was rewritten for clarity. So you've received an updated draft of the amendments incorporating these changes. And additionally, we want to bring to your attention 2 matters. First, in 2 places, 22-46 and 90.1.4, which both have to do with parking, ADUs are exempted from the parking requirement if they are located within a half-mile of the North Leominster commuter rail station or a MART bus station.
I get it, okay, go ahead. I had a question on that.
Okay.
I understand that they're now saying that any place that there's a bus route, and if they do a hail system, that considers the whole, in the entire bus route, is that true?
It does say here, or a MART bus line.
90.1.4.
Yeah, so that means that any place in the city that a bus goes. It's really not a half mile from the station, it's every place there's a bus. So that would be redundant. A MART bus, yeah.
Well, it says or a MART bus route. It does say route. if
Yeah.
that's your-
Well, they have routes that run all over the city. Okay, I mean, so I just, would we have to define their routes? Or do they change them, or how does that, any idea how that would work?
I inquired about something of that nature at the session I went to in March, the Citizens Training Planning Collaborative, and they said it would be up to staff to keep up with the changing routes and the changing stops, and they would have to monitor that and react accordingly.
So that'd be the planning staff?
That's what they said at the meeting.
Yeah, but it doesn't, that would, we don't get involved.
You don't get involved
We
this-
wouldn't know necessarily, that would have to be the building inspector staff then,
Correct.
okay. But that doesn't state that,
So basically everywhere in the city,
pretty much.
half a mile of a bus route would be almost everywhere.
I know very,
I don't know whether
Well, I don't know, a half mile at a station and then any MART bus route, so.
That would be pretty much it.
it says or bus route,
or a bus route.
you know. So it's
It can be
Yeah, with half mile is from the station or the bus route. That pretty much, that might do, Elm Street and the end of Pleasant Street by Shoalin Farms, other than that. Because it's a hail system, it's not like we have designated bus stops. We have some, but pretty much the whole city. But this doesn't define that, and I have a question about that.
So the rest of the paragraph kind of explains this.
Okay,
So this exemption is required by state law in order for a parking requirement to be valid. In accordance with the latest regulations issued by the state and the Attorney General's review of Townsend's ADU bylaw, which Joe is also working on and asking questions of the state, MRPC requests that the planning board recommend changing this language to a transit or bus station to account for future changes.
So that would eliminate the half-mile requirement?
It would
Oh,
still
the
be a
tra-
half mile, but it would be from
From
the
the
station itself.
Station.
But didn't you say the state requires you to be
No.
a bus route?
No. The state is recommending that,
The state has recommended what? A sta-
that you say a station.
Okay,
So that would solve the problem with everywhere in the city. Maybe.
maybe.
I'll say this on that, this statute is very unclear. There's regulations that have been issued, there's gonna be probably some case law on this eventually that'll clear some of these questions up.
Yeah.
But the statute itself is not really worded very well, so.
So you shouldn't worry about it today?
No, I'm not saying you shouldn't worry about it. I'm just saying these questions might get worked out one way or the other in a case eventually, but you sort of have to do the best you can until that happens.
So why can't we just recommend that it's a station if that's what the state is
Yeah,
doing?
we
And
can.
plus, the other thing is, some people who are living here, they're gonna want the parking space. It's not, this is, the way it's written now, it's assuming,
Yeah,
it's assuming tenants who are moving into those
Don't have cars.
Don't have
ADUs
cars.
don't have cars.
and that's wrong. And they,
So that's why I say we recommend that it's a station instead of route.
and what, do we have a definition of a station?
Or be a fixed stop, a fixed stop like downtown where the buses stop in front of the common.
Okay,
That's what I'm assuming anyway, I don't know,
Well, that's what-
Anywhere they have a station,
that's what I'm saying, that's what I'm trying to define.
and one down by Walmart.
Well,
right?
isn't
There's
that a
station.
stop, not a station?
That's a stop, that's a state, not a station.
There's only one station.
The only station I know of is in Martin, Fitchburg.
Yeah,
There's no station per
so I
se.
would say,
There's a stop downtown, but there's no stations. We don't have a station in Leominster that I know of.
Leominster MBTA commuter rail.
That's a commuter
Right.
rail, that's the only one, right.
so I think it should be consistent. They're saying MBTA commuter rail station, although you can't pick up a train anywhere. And then a MART bus station. And then, we'll see, let the chips fall where they may.
Yeah, so, and then we'd have to define it, a station is not a stop.
Well,
Well, we're taking that
but by
out.
using the term station,
Right.
I think that's
A station would be
a
a physical
definition in and of
building.
itself.
Is it- Okay. You define a station as a physical building?
Well,
I wouldn't define it as an overhang with a bench under it.
no.
That's
Yeah.
a stop.
I mean, we're calling it the MBTA commuter rail station in the clause before, and we all know what that means. So I don't
You're
know
right.
why we can't say a MART bus station as well,
Yeah,
Which is only at Mart.
which is only at MART.
yeah.
Take care of that.
That takes it, that means, okay, it doesn't apply. Okay,
Okay, and here's the second matter to consider. Leominster's zoning ordinance as it exists today contains exemptions from dimensional setbacks for accessory structures not used for human habitation, like a shed or garage.
right.
These accessory structures are allowed to be set back 5 feet from the lot line if they are 1 story in height, and 10 feet if they are 2 or more stories. Accessory structures used for human habitation, ADUs, or a she shed, or a single room above a barn, must meet the district's dimensional setbacks. This establishes a dual standard for the setback requirements for accessory structures.
So if I have a garage that's 5 feet from my property line, because I could put it there, because I don't have, it's not a living space, this is saying.
That's a
that I can-
garage.
That I can do that now, and make an accessory structure out of it.
Mhm.
I'll just clarify.
For pre-existing only.
Pre-existing.
Pre-existing, non-attached structures. Any new construction, we'd have to
Yeah.
Well, you had to follow the setback. So
Now,
anything
it's
you
kind of
do as
interesting.
far as-
But you can still do an ADU structure, even though.
Yeah, but not, see, it's kind of interesting, and I meant to bring it with me tonight, and I forgot it. I was just looking at Shirley's, and went to the state to be approved, and they crossed out the okay setbacks. So, then that's just something I happened to run across at Shirley. So, like you said, this whole thing is very,
Influx, for lack of a better phrase.
yeah.
So what Joe told me is that you could go with all 5. So human and non-human, go all 5, go all 10, leave it as it is, or one or the other.
So we don't have to take any action at all. We could just ignore it.
You could leave it as is.
Current setbacks.
So if there's people in it, it has to be 10 feet. No people in it, it can be 5 feet. That's how
What
it
happens,
stands
what happens if
now.
you had no people in it, and you build it, and then you put people in it, then it's 5 feet?
Well, no, that could happen, but with an existing dwelling, from the way this is written, that could happen.
Yeah,
But if we say, we don't allow any of it, or don't change the ordinance,
But then,
what's the state gonna do to
If we
us?
set a date where
You have to?
anything new from this date forward.
I think we have to
being a
define that, yeah.
Non-human occupied structure, you could never change it into a human.
Yeah, I think we'd have to add that in there somewhere. Yeah, I agree. That you could put in there for, if you build a non-human structure, a garage, let's say garage,
Aliens.
okay,
it can be 5 feet.
that'd be 5
But
feet.
then you decide you want it to be an ADU. You have to go before the zoning board, pre-existing non-conforming.
Then let's just make it
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
maximum
And
amount.
if an ADU is by right, then it's the building commissioner making that determination. that
Yeah, I
it's
think it
not
would have to
more-
go to a board of some kind. Probably the ZBA.
Why don't we just make it the maximum amount? Then they don't have to do that. Because the whole, and because you said earlier, the whole point was no site plan, so that people don't have to go through
Right,
the trouble and expense.
right,
And then they're going to have to go through that just for a lousy 5 feet.
right.
So I say we do the maximum amount.
Go with the maximum.
Yes. And whatever the setback is in the district.
Uh,
So stick with the existing or just go with 10 on everything?
Well, what's the, so the existing is 15?
It's 15.
It's
You go
15.
with what the zoning regulates now. So you say if it's 15, you go with 15 in that zone. If it's 10 in that zone, you just keep it at 10 in that zone.
Right.
And never go to 5.
Yeah.
unless it's already
So we're
in
going
the
to just
zone.
have the existing.
Yeah.
Well, they can still go to ZBA.
They could. So why don't we,
But the building commissioner, if I'm not mistaken, can make the determination under section 6 that it's not more non-conforming
Right.
to the neighborhood.
Yeah, it doesn't even come to us at that point. It's compliance.
right,
It doesn't come to us at all.
yeah.
In fact, the way this is, nothing with, residential structures don't come to us generally,
Right,
okay? The only time we get to see it, if it's something new, and then it's in like a, a site plan, a development of some kind.
right.
So, okay.
Okay. I say we leave it, right?
I would too,
Is that the
but-
consensus?
Yeah, we leave the setback as required by the zoning.
Yeah, leave the setback as it is.
And that, I mean, we don't have any penalties or fines for not following what they had drafted,
Right.
from the sound of it. Anything else?
The proposed amendments maintain this distinction, exempting only ADUs and pre-existing outbuildings from the setbacks, which is required by state law. So what you have, the proposed amendments before you that Joe sent over this afternoon. exempts only ADUs and pre-existing outbuildings from the setbacks, which is
Okay.
required by state law.
All right, oh, and that makes sense.
Mhm.
Great. The third category, accessory structures, is the one that applies here because of Leominster's dual setback requirement for accessory structures. It is unclear how the courts and EOHLC would apply the above regulation to the proposed ordinance. Note that the language of the amendments requires the most permissive regulation among the three categories. So, these are your three options. Sorry, I didn't realize it was on that. Adopt the amendments as written, leaving in place the dual requirement for accessory structures. Rewrite the amendments to eliminate the reduced setbacks for accessory buildings entirely, so the side and rear yard setbacks apply to all new accessory structures. This would also remove this exemption for homeowners seeking to build a new shed or other accessory structure throughout the city. And 3, rewrite the amendments to allow ADUs to take advantage of the reduced setbacks for accessory structures, eliminating the distinction between accessory structures used for human habitation versus other accessory structures.
No.
This would allow new one-story ADUs to be constructed within 5 feet of the lot line and new two-story ADUs to be constructed within 10 feet of the lot line.
I don't think we
I
want-
choose door number 1.
Adopt the amendments as written, leaving in place the dual requirement. I agree
Yeah.
with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I think we agree with that. Going to that 5 feet is really, yeah, they're really gonna put people, you know,
That could cause problems. It's 5 feet.
Sorry. So if you choose the first or third option, we recommend rewriting Amendment 12
You get that
for
page?
clarity's sake, more explicitly applying the 10-foot requirement only to accessory structures of more than one story as follows. In section 22-37, amend item 37.3 by adding a period after 15. So if you look at,
I thought we weren't doing that, so we were gonna just make the existing setbacks in place, so.
which one are you at now?
She's at section 22-37.
it's on the third page, under number 12.
Yeah.
Add a period after 15 feet. Replace the word "and" with an accessory structure of more than one story not used for human occupancy. And then adding the following sentence at the end. Accessory structures used for human occupancy must conform to the table of dimensional requirements. So it would say, a detached accessory structure of one story may not be closer to the principal structure than 10 feet. A detached accessory structure of more than one story may not be closer to the principal structure than 15 feet. An accessory structure not used for human occupancy may not be closer than 10 feet to any side or rear lot line. Accessory structures used for human occupancy must conform to the table of dimensional requirements, except as described in 37.6 below. So these two in number 13 are added to 22-37. No accessory structure used for human occupation may be located in the front yard of a principal residence unless it is a pre-existing structure as described in 37.6. And 37.6 says pre-existing accessory structures. An accessory structure in existence as of May 1st, 2025, which is located in a front yard area or which encroaches on the setback requirements for the district, may be converted to an accessory dwelling unit under Article 15 of this ordinance within its existing footprint. No such structure shall be modified to create an additional dimensional nonconformity.
Okay.
Does that make sense? I know, it's.
It makes
it's-
sense. In my opinion, I think it should simply say that accessory dwelling units are now allowed in the city of Leominster by right, and that it can be non-familial and,
And
And that's
conform to
it.
the existing
And that's
dimensional
it.
requirements.
You have to have running water and electricity, or have somebody just pop a cot in a shed.
You don't have to worry about this, that, or the other thing.
Right.
Yeah.
The setback is for the zoning, that's what it is.
Yeah. The problem is, there's so many sections in your ordinance that talk about this stuff,
Yeah.
it becomes complicated.
Yeah, you have to cover all the
confusing.
different areas.
Right, right.
well, keeping in mind, this is a recommendation of the city council.
Yeah. Well, if we can help, you know.
So, no, I mean, it does make sense. I just think it's more than it needs to be, but.
Right.
And changing 90.1.4 to say bus station.
Well, and it's funny because paragraph 14 on page 3 of the amendments that are laid out, it says Mark Bus Station there.
14?
That's Joe's suggestion.
Yeah,
That's Joe's recommendation, right?
Yeah.
So he got over it.
Yeah, that'd be,
Yeah.
yeah.
Unfortunately, you have to make all of these changes in order to make it work. Because if you leave a section unedited, there could be problems.
okay. I think we have to open up.
Okay.
the hearings.
And then, do we have anything else?
It does add parking as well.
Add the phase except for replace the word building with principal structure. So these are all the changes, and
Correct.
I think we're sort of stuck because, I mean, there's something that the state is forcing on us that we really, you know,
Doesn't sound like it's too forced. If you can keep ours as it is, without adopting anything except for the requirement on the
Yeah.
MBTA.
no, that's different. MBTA requirement and ADUs are two different sections. So we can't put, yeah, the MBTA requirement for increased density is one thing, and ADUs covers the whole city. So it's just an arbitrary thing that's being forced on us, and I mean, I sort of agree, these changes, in order to make it work, I guess we have to make all the changes in the different areas.
Right, because before it was by special permit, so everywhere where it says that in special permit and.
Then we
accessory-
could work it out.
Right.
But where you get rid of special permit, then,
So these are all the sections where Joe found a need to change, so it would all work.
yeah. Okay.
See if the audience wants to.
Do you have anything else you want to add to this?
That's it.
Okay. I'll open up to the audience. So I have anyone in the audience that has any questions or comments on accessory dwelling units?
What'd
Hi,
you say?
Bill Brady, 214 Harvard. Just trying to follow along. This is what got us in the MU2 mess we're in right now, is no one knows
But this is by,
what they're voting
this
on.
is by, this is a state, this is the state doing this.
Yeah.
Correct, but you're recommending to the city council to pass something, and I don't know if it's totally understood even by your agency, because it seems very confusing as an outsider looking in.
Oh,
Recommended anything yet?
we haven't recommended, these are recommended, and I'm not telling you the truth, I understand all of it, but.
I'm not sure that we're recommending what the state is telling us that we have to pass anyway.
Yeah, we're not. So, I mean, it's not like the housing for the MBTA areas that was mandated, and if we didn't do it, we were fined, or we had other penalties to the city, from grants and things like that. So it doesn't sound like there's any.
Well,
meat
there
to
is,
this one like that. Nothing, right?
I don't know, is there any caveats for the state?
No, there's no
Force-
mandate for these ADU changes. The issue is they become unenforceable if they
Right.
violate the state law and the regulations. So if someone came in and wanted to do something and the zoning bylaw said you, ordinance said you couldn't, if the state statute says you can, you can.
Right.
That's the difference.
So basically, we would be subverted back to the state law,
Right,
and we would have no say in it.
right. So at this time, as
So
it
if we have,
stands,
if we want to retain any state, we have to have something to
right, as it-
regulate it.
As it stands now, your ordinance doesn't comply with the new state law, so anybody
Right.
coming in for an ADU would follow that state law. This is just changing the language to make it conform to that.
Yeah,
Before you had to get a special permit, go through you guys or whoever,
right.
months maybe, and now you can just go to the building commissioner, here's my plans, is it good? Okay, here's your permit, go.
That's the big change, right? No more special permits for these.
Right. That's really about it.
Yeah, yeah, we had a special permit on ADU because it was really in-law apartments, we called it.
Right, and they don't
So-
allow, you can't restrict it to just relatives now.
Right, so, I mean, that's where the whole change.
Right.
But that's where we had the special permit,
Right,
because that was
so you
a,
can confirm all of that.
to confirm that it was in fact a relative, and that was part of the package. Okay, now that that's not part of it, it really defeats the thing of having a special permit. Because that was, the regulation was to define who the person was gonna be living there.
Right, and this doesn't preclude, like I said, the Wetlands Protection Act, the, what was it? Sorry.
Federal regulations, watershed
Water
regulations,
standards.
Board of Health.
Board of Health,
You
no,
know, you
that's
wanna add a
still,
couple bedrooms, you need to go to the Board of Health still. You know,
Yeah.
it's just the building part.
okay, so if these,
All we're saying here is that these are all the places that we, in our regulations, that we reference ADUs, and because of that, these are all the
We have to
places that we have to
modify them.
modify.
that's
Right.
right, that is
If we
correct.
don't want to accept these, we have to rewrite all of our regulations about ADUs, so that they don't mention any of these things, right?
We'd have to do the same that we're doing here.
Remove them, do something with them.
Yeah. I don't think we wanna do that.
You know, I hate to generate more work for your office, but what I'd prefer to, what I would like to see is like a red lines version instead of like this.
Okay.
Less
Yeah,
instead
so
of more.
we know Joe's thoughts, 'cause Joe's got.
So like
plenty
if
of
we're
thoughts.
amending, as an example, if we're amending the definition, I want to see the original definition
Okay,
and then it struck out and then the new one in.
I understand.
Yeah, we can understand that way.
Well, it'd be real clean.
I wish he had done that too.
That's, that way, because I understand the concept, but I don't know where these are going if I
Right.
had one
Unless you have this in
document.
front of you and you're going through the pages.
And I don't have that in
Yes.
front of me
But
right
I- and I
now,
want,
so.
but I want that in front of me with the
Red
red
line.
line.
Okay.
So with the, I don't, if anyone else in the audience wants to speak, but I
No,
might,
I tend to agree, because I was having a hard time following
So-
this and what he was doing. And I
And we-
think we should continue it and request that we get a red line version with the changes so that we can better understand what they are.
so if, unless someone else in the audience wants to speak, I'd make a motion to continue the hearing.
Well, let me check and see if there's anyone else. Do I have anyone else in the audience who wishes to speak?
Can I
Okay.
just speak to the gentleman that was
Is
up
there
here?
someone over there? I don't,
Like,
Yeah,
oh, just so you know, I got a crash course on this today about Joe's thoughts, so that if I sounded confused, I am. I apologize.
you're not any more confused than we are.
no, you did a good job, it was
They're
good.
good, yeah.
Because made us think about
All right.
it more.
Right, right.
And we know we need more information, they can.
All right,
Okay.
so there's a motion and a second.
I have a motion and a second to continue this hearing and request a red line version
And so
of the
what,
changes.
I'm sorry, when would the next
Wait,
meeting?
Well, that
do
she's
that
gonna let
right
me
now.
know now.
Oh,
Well,
sorry.
on October 6th, you have 3 hearings already scheduled. So I don't know if you want to add it to
What are
This
they?
won't
that.
take long.
Yeah, well, if we have.
1030 Central Street, 48 Main Street, and 68 Liberty Street definitive subdivision.
That's fine, this won't take long.
What time
Yeah.
is the last one?
That should be okay.
6:40.
That's fine.
6:45?
Yes.
Second.
Okay. And we have a motion made and seconded to continue this to the 16th,
October 6th.
October 6th at 6:45.
Joe will be pleased, he really wanted to be here.
All right, good.
Joe did an excellent job.
Oh,
right.
yeah.
All right,
Thank you.
so we have a motion, second,
I have a
6:45.
motion made and seconded for October 6th at 6:45. Any further discussion? Here none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion carries. And that motion is with the red line version.
Right.
Six-
Yes, he'll probably have it tomorrow or the next day.
All right,
Okay.
6:32.
No, yeah,
Open public hearing of City Council petition 4-26 Glen Eaton, Executive Director, Montezuma Regional Planning Commission, to amend zoning ordinance to add MFOD to the abbreviation table for overlay districts in Article 3.
Said there was a typo.
Yeah, it wasn't, the MFOD wasn't included in the acronym table. That's all it is.
Is that, oh,
And that stands for multifamily
Overlay district.
overlay district. Okay.
okay. So that's all that is? Okay.
Yes.
that's not.
Do I have any further
We like
discussion?
those.
Any further
No.
discussion?
I move to close the
Well, I
hearing.
gotta ask for the audience first. Anyone from the audience on this one? Okay, I have a motion to close the hearing. Motion made and seconded, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Both say no. Carried.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I move to the regular meeting.
Second.
Oh, okay, we do the A and R. I have a motion made, do I have a second to move?
Somebody already have them.
Oh, I didn't hear it, okay.
Yeah.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Both say no. Call to order.
Patrick Perla.
Here.
Paul Weiser. Sal Chaconi.
Yeah.
Caravatorioso.
Here.
Tom Kergnen. Jason Parre.
Here.
Dean Valier, excused. John Souza.
Yeah. Okay, we'll move to plan submitted, 3.1, need a motion?
No, well, no, it's.
Motion is
there's
in
no
order.
minute for what?
To move to 3.0.
Why?
Oh, there's no minutes, so, yeah. Go to 3, okay. A&R for 23 High Street and 30 Houghton Court, map 55, lots 5 and 6.
But that's gonna take forever, so let's get this poor guy out of here. That's why I moved to the regular meeting.
Houghton Court.
Excuse me, Chair. Can I ask why the last item on the
Because we have other people here who have 10-minute, 2-minute items.
Oh, this is
out
on-
of courtesy.
Great.
All it is, it's a courtesy thing, this is gonna take about 5 minutes, and we'll get into the other hearing.
Very much.
Okay.
Good question, though. I asked it.
Not a problem.
Well, we do it all the time. I don't know why it's an issue tonight.
Not. Go ahead.
How you doing tonight? My name is Jason Goyette. I work at Dillis and Roy Civil Design Group, and I'm here tonight representing for Acostas Development LLC and Jordan Williams. And in front of you is an A&R plan, and the intent of this plan is to create Lot 1A and Parcel A. Lot A, 1A has the minimum frontage requirement, the minimum lot width, and the minimum area. And Parcel A is not a building lot, but is to be conveyed to and annexed with the adjoining land of Jordan Williams.
Oh, no, here.
So parcel A is being transferred
Yep,
to lot A, 1A.
nope.
No,
no,
It's
the
coming
The
out.
other way?
Yep,
To the existing dwelling.
yep, to the
So
existing
A and
dwelling.
A and 1A are one lot right now?
Yes,
Okay, and A is going to the existing dwelling lot, okay.
yep.
And you got 80 feet of frontage, your setbacks.
I move to
are all
endorse.
set. Yeah, move to endorse.
Yeah,
Just the
for
front.
the second.
Okay. I have a motion made to endorse. Any discussion? Hear none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor to endorse, say aye.
Aye.
Denied to say no. Motion carries. Folks, so just to let you know, is explanation that A and R stands for approval not required, but we have to come to, so this is a case where somebody just transferred a piece of property from one lot to another to make a bigger lot for their neighbor. So, but we still have to go through the procedures to have it done properly. Okay, we go back to hearings. I need a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and second to return to the hearings. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion carried. Okay. Continued open public meeting for site plan application for 86 Orchard Hill Park Drive, map 386, block 4, lot 1C, multifamily residential development.
I'm gonna read the,
Okay, Carol's got something to read here.
Okay, before we begin, welcome everyone to the Leominster Planning Board meeting. This is an official government meeting. We would like to explain the procedure for this meeting before we begin. Public hearings and open public meetings will be open per schedule on the agenda, which we have done. Once a hearing or open public meeting is open, the applicant will have an opportunity to make a presentation to the board. Once each applicant has presented, members of the planning board may have questions or comments before we invite members of the audience to comment in regard to any applications. Prior to inviting your comments, however, we will read into the record all written comments from individuals who cannot be present this evening. Please note that all letters that have been received with no name or return address are not required to be read. However, we do provide copies to the board for them to take into consideration. Anyone who wishes to speak may approach the podium and must state their full name and address for the record. Comments will be limited to a 2-minute time frame. Other than speaking at the podium, members of the public are requested not to speak out during the meeting. To avoid redundancy, if a comment has been previously made by another person, you can simply state that you agree or disagree with what was discussed. Please only speak if you have a new matter to raise for the board's consideration. All comments are to be made through the chairman and are not to be addressed directly to the applicant. If the chairman would like further clarification, he will ask the applicant directly to respond. Once all public comments have been noted, applications will be discussed individually by the planning board. The board will then vote to either close or continue each respective public hearing or open meeting. We will then open our regular planning board meeting, which we have done out of courtesy for some of the,
For the A&R.
for the other quicker applicants. When we reach the applications on the agenda, the board will vote on those. Also, we would like to remind everyone to be respectful and to ensure everyone has silenced their phones. We would like to remind everyone that this is an official government meeting, and we ask that you be civilized and respectful. Those who cannot may be asked to leave.
Okay, we
Not
have done that.
will be, but maybe.
Okay. Gentlemen, you've had the chair.
Good evening. For the record, Matt Von Basey with Boiler Engineering. I didn't want to interrupt while the vice chair is speaking. You mind if I go try to turn on the TV and hopefully be
Go
successful?
ahead.
It doesn't have a remote, it's a manual. It's a little different than the one upstairs.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, that's fine.
Trying to get rid of stuff here.
evening. For the record, Maplin Basie with Bowl Engineering. We're the civil engineers on the project. I'm here with the applicant, Jim Lambert, representing WP East Acquisitions LLC. I know folks are familiar with the project. We're here tonight just to run through a few of the last comments we received from the board and from the planning staff and city department heads. As part of our review, there's one technical matter that is outstanding that we'll run through briefly, which I think the city's been advised not to close tonight, just so we can address that one stormwater technical matter. But I want to run through everything else in the meantime. Just as a quick update as to changes we've made from the plans since you've last seen them. We submitted a set on September 2nd. We submitted them to both planning and conservation. The updates were for some of the remaining city peer review and department comments and some comments we received from the Conservation Commission. In general, they were fairly minor in nature. One item we updated is, let me see my mouse. But we added a third trash enclosure at the more in the center of the site. We had one on each side. We did receive some correspondence from the applicant's project management company that 2 was sufficient for a project this size, but we did get a comment from this board as well as the Department of Health. I think even engineering had asked about it, so rather than not providing it, we just elected to provide the third trash enclosure as an extra safety measure for solid waste removal. And we did receive and submit a narrative from the property management company relative to solid waste removal. Additionally, we made some minor updates to the snow storage plan. I know this board had asked about snow storage and conservation had asked about snow storage. We updated it to increase the total area of snow storage. There's 8.6% of the parking area is provided as snow storage elsewhere. That exceeds the zoning requirement of 5%. We've located those snow storage areas more than 50 feet away from wetland areas, just in consideration of some of conservation's comments. We've also submitted a letter from the applicant's property management company relative to there being some sufficient snow storage and briefly outlining how they would handle operations. Anticipating it would be done in stages. They'd do the main cleanup and they would be there on site to stage it as cars were removed from parking spaces. We did also update the operation and maintenance plan for the project and added a note to the plans relative to the use of salt alternatives for de-icing. This again was a comment from conservation if we consider using something other than rock salt for de-icing. We've submitted a mailroom operations letter. There was a comment from the board relative to the mailroom location and whether a central location could be considered. The applicant did review those options and it was thought that the current location is preferred for a few different reasons outlined in the narrative, I think not least of which is security and just safe operations for as packages get delivered to the mailroom. It was noted by planning staff, which I thought is, the mailroom is located 40 or 50 cars from Harvard Street, so we think there's plenty of parking there for the mailroom based on the applicant's experience, but I guess in no event is ever going to back up or provide off-site issues. We provided a move-in narrative from the applicant's property management company, just describing move-in operations. I think in general, they would be scheduled ahead of time. Spaces would be specifically marked off for move-in operations, and then they would move into the buildings. And a few additional comments per conservation discussions. They had asked if we would consider a 1.5 to 1 wetland replication ratio, just a little additional wetland replication area, which we did provide. They asked us to take a look at the erosion and sediment control material specs. They had a preference, which we accommodated. And they asked for some additional stormwater treatment measures downstream of the Dark Park, which we proposed. Just a quick.
Before you move on, is the third dumpster highlighted?
I'm sorry.
Where on your?
Third dumpster.
You said it was in the middle.
He's looking for the third dumpster.
Oh yeah, you can't see my mouse, but it's right at the center of the site. So if you see the block of buildings right in the center, it's at the top center of the site. Through there, if you want, I can step up and point to it. Just to run through some of the city department comments, they've all been, I think, addressed. There are a few suggested conditions of approval relative to providing funding for potential off-site improvements. a few health comments relative to those requirements as far as yearly inspections, things like that. I'm happy to run through those conditions, but again, all addressed with conditions as noted. I believe the traffic peer review has been also resolved. Again, a few conditions recommended by the traffic peer review consultant, which the applicant agrees to. His stormwater peer review comments have been addressed, aside from the one issue I'm going to speak quickly about now. But the previous comments have all been addressed. So the one comment, the one outstanding technical item is the proposed vernal pools on the site highlighted in green at the bottom center of the site. As of recently, there have been 2 certified vernal pools located on the site. Relative to overall design, we don't anticipate it's going to impact the building locations, the parking locations, things like that, but there is a technical analysis that we need to provide to conservation as they're being there, specifically a hydraulic analysis and treatment review for any discharges going to those vernal pools. So my understanding is the vernal pools don't have a buffer or regulatory area that extends beyond the wetland boundary, and no work is proposed in the wetlands at that location. But there is anticipated to be a slight update to the stormwater report and specifically the treatment measures in that area. So I know the city would like us to supply those updates to the planning board and have their peer review consultant look at it before wrapping up the review of the project. So that will plan on coming back at the next hearing with that info, as well as submitting it to conservation. That said, happy to run through anything else more in detail, but want to keep it pretty brief for the board.
Okay.
John, if I can?
Yes.
I'd go back to the same question I raised last time.
Paul, can you make sure your mic is?
I'd go back to the same question I asked last time. The proposal only has 3 additional parking spaces, and your snow storage plan is what? So you're going to do this in phases, but there's no place for people to move their cars. And so I don't know how that's supposed to work. I live in a similar complex, and when it snows, we ask people not park in front of the buildings or not park in normal spots so that overnight the plows can come and clear the roads and keep things off. There's nowhere to move or park cars here in this situation because there's just not enough parking. And I appreciate that you've increased the snow storage, but that does nothing to address that problem. And so I'm just curious, again, same question. How are residents in this development supposed to actually get around when there's snow?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, thank you. So, as you noted, we did increase the snow storage areas. I know that doesn't answer your question. We did supply, I hope that the board received and has read, the letter that was provided by the property management company about procedures for snow removal, both on-site and then off-site if necessary. So we operate properties like this all across the state and all across the country. We've never provided additional parking above and beyond, a required or a market rate amount just simply for the purpose of having extra spaces to move around cars for snow storage. That's just not typically, been done in the industry. This has been a tried and true property type. We've built properties like this, again, all across the country. It's something that their property management firm has to deal with. They do, and it is successful. We haven't had issues at our properties. I'm not sure how to better answer your question.
And I don't know how to answer that. My lived experience suggests that that's an
understand.
insufficient answer. And my recollection from your original presentation is that most of your experience is in areas where you're not going to have the snow situation that we have in this one. And so,
I'm not sure I said that. I mean, we've built over 5,000 units just here in Massachusetts in the last 10 years, so we have a lot of experience in this climate.
And one quick other item I'd note is the applicant did note in our responses they would be willing to a condition that they have to haul any excess snow off-site in the condition that's needed. I don't think they anticipate that. And one other note, to the extent it's worth it, we do are a few spaces over the zoning requirement. I think zoning requirements tend to vary. There's also Institute of Transportation engineer data for parking demand requirements, which often we'll use when the zoning requirements are vary throughout different towns, and that would indicate we have about potential excess of 70 spaces or so. So again, we're just meeting the zoning requirement, but I think they're comfortable they have enough parking in an available area for snow.
I mean,
I'm not going to agree.
the zoning calls for that they have so many parking spaces. I mean, I think your issue is probably with the
zone.
ordinance more than what their plan is. I don't know.
Okay. Do you have anything else that you wanna,
No, Mr. Chairman.
board members?
No.
Okay,
I'm gonna,
open it up to the audience.
I'm gonna read some letters first, John.
You got some letters there?
Sal, do you have something?
You know, I don't know as a result of. not
Sal, is your
being
mic
here-
on?
Oh,
You have to manually turn each one on.
Yeah.
They're not automatically on.
all right.
There you go.
All right.
I'm still, what I want to really get another good description of is the traffic flow onto Harvard Street. Improvements there, what you're planning with that, can you show us is there anything you're going to do outside of what we see right now?
Good evening, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. Again, Sean Kelly with Chapel Engineering. We have come up with a plan for Harvard Street. We've agreed to go out and look at the traffic light, post-development, if need be, make modifications to the timing. The analysis to date says that we won't need to make significant changes, but to the extent that that is required, we will do that. We've also made some commitments to upgrade that signal to provide additional infrastructure as requested by the fire department to help with emergency response. Down at the other end, when Harvard Street meets Old Union Turnpike, we've proposed a number of measures both at the Harvard Old Union and then at the Old Union Route 2 on-ramp. All the improvements that we've proposed have been reviewed by your peer engineer, Vanessa Associates. They've signed off on that and given us, a clean bill of health on this. So I think we've mitigated the impact of the project and certainly have made a number of measures to improve safety, particularly along Old Union Turnpike.
Anything done on widening some of the roadways over there?
No, we aren't proposing any widening. Quite frankly, most of the traffic that comes into this site from Harvard Street is going to be right turns in, and that's a free movement. So you don't need to have an exclusive lane, if you will, to accommodate those movements. They have the right of way. If we were on the opposite side of the street, for instance, where the Christian bookstore is,
Right.
and we had a heavy left turn movement in, then potentially we would look at doing some widening to provide an exclusive lane to get those cars.
But for residents that live there, they're still going to be able to come down Harvard Street and take a left.
We've designed that, it's designed to operate and signed to operate as a left out, right in only. In other words, that driveway is intended to take you only towards Route 2 or take you in from Route 2. Now, certainly if somebody wanted to come out onto Orchard Hill Park Drive, they could go down to the signal and make a right and head to Harvard Street that way. But when we look at the traffic patterns and where people are coming and going, particularly during peak hours of commuter activity, there isn't a lot of demand to head up to, towards North Leominster or towards Lunenburg. Most of the people that are leaving this site in the morning are going to be heading to Route 2, heading to Boston, heading to Worcester, heading towards downtown Leominster, and that simply isn't the direction that they'll be traveling.
The reason I'm asking this is, I'm so familiar with the traffic patterns and what people do. A lot of people are going to go out the back way.
Absolutely.
And they're gonna, they're gonna get onto Prospect Street, or they're gonna subvert to the back to take 2A, because the Route 2 traffic in the morning during commuter hours is, it's immovable.
No, and we did assign some of the traffic that would come out on Orchard Hill Park Drive, make their way down and make the left at, is it Powell's there, and head that way. So we did assign some of the traffic that way.
So how much traffic, another just curiosity, because
Sure.
I have to take the rust off a little here. Do you have a percentage on how much traffic goes out the back entrance, or, an assessment of what you think, and how much goes out the front?
Sure. Going out, when you said the back, you're assuming Orchard Hill Park back out towards, we've put 15% out that way and assume that 85% would head towards either Route 2 or Harvard Street, correct?
And they can turn they can turn left or right coming out.
At the traffic light, they can turn whichever way they want,
No, I
correct?
mean at the entrance to the.
You're talking about Pioneer Park?
Pioneer Park, yes.
Yeah.
Yep, that's a full open access drive.
I just wanted to understand it, thank you.
No problem.
Yeah. Okay, anything else, Sal?
No, I'm good right now, thank you.
Okay. Do I have any other board members at this time? I'll open it up to the audience.
Can I read these letters first?
We have 3 letters to
Oh, you
read.
got on straight, I have 3 letters. That's right, I forget about that.
The first one is from the mayor. Due to the number of people that have been testifying at public hearings and commenting online about the decision on the controversy of the ordinance change of MU2. The mayor is asking that the following summary be read at the next meeting during Orchard Hill Park project or MU discussions. And I assume this is the minutes from the city council of, last dated February 10th, 2025. Petition 15-25, Planning Board, petition, actually, 2515, recommendation of the City Council, November 4, first time on the agenda, public hearing established. December 2nd, public hearing. December 16th, recommendation to the City Council. Under communications from the Planning Board in our minutes, 6.1, City Council petition 15-25 regarding Elizabeth Wood on behalf of the Planning Board. Request to amend the zoning ordinance pertaining to MU2 zoning. Board to make recommendation to the City Council. Ms. Vittorioso made a motion to provide a positive recommendation to City Council. Mr. Carrigan seconded, vote 7-0, motion carried. Petition 25-15, City Council agenda, October 28th, 2024, first time on the agenda. Number 6 on the agenda, petitions, first time on the agenda, 15-25, Elizabeth Wood, on behalf of the Planning Board, request to amend the zoning ordinance pertaining to MU2 zoning. See attached. Legal Affairs Committee, October 28th, 2024, public hearing to be determined, 2/3 majority vote. This communication was given regular course with a public hearing established for December 9th, 2024 at 6:20 p.m. Source was from the City Council minutes. On 11/25/2024, public hearing was established. Legal Affairs public hearing, December 9th, 2024, 6:30. 15-25, Elizabeth Wood, on behalf of the Planning Board, request to amend the zoning ordinance pertaining to MU2 zoning. See attached letter. Legal Affairs Committee, October 28th, 2024, public hearing, December 9th, 2024 at 6:30. 2/3 majority vote. The Legal Affairs Committee recommended that the City Council grant this petition further time by a vote of 9-0. The petition was given further time. Sources from the City Council minutes. On December 9th, 2024, public hearing, Legal Affairs public hearing, December 9th, 2024 at 6:30. Petition 15-25, Elizabeth Wood, on behalf of the Planning Board, request to amend the zoning ordinance pertaining to MU2 zoning. See attached letter. Legal Affairs Committee, October 28th, 2024, public hearing, December 9, 2024 at 6:30, requires 2/3 majority vote. Councilor Angelini opened the public hearing at 7:38 by reading the petition into the record. Councilor Angelini read a letter into the record from December 3rd, 2024, from Elizabeth Wood, Planning Director. The Legal Affairs Committee recommended further time and to continue the public hearing. January 13th, 2025, public hearing continued. Legal Affairs, 15-25, Elizabeth Wood, on behalf of the Planning Board, request to amend the zoning ordinance pertaining to MU2 zoning. The petition was granted. Vote 8-1, 8 yeas. Councilors Cormier, D. Cormier, P. Cormier, Ardinger, Angelini, Tossi, Robbins, Frida, and Bedanza. 1 nay vote, Councilor Shalafu Zephyr. December 27, 2025, first reading of the ordinance. Under new business from the City Council agenda, first reading of an ordinance, recommendation to adopt as present by a vote of 8-1, 8 yeas, Councilors D. Cormier, P. Cormier, Ardinger, Angelini, Tossi, Robbins, Frida, and Bedanza. 1 nay vote, Councilor Shalafu Zephyr. 15-25, Elizabeth Wood, on behalf of the Planning Board, request to amend the zoning ordinance pertaining to MU2 zoning. On February 10th, 2025, second reading of the ordinance under their agenda, old business, second reading of the ordinance 15-25, Elizabeth Wood, on behalf of the Planning Board, request to amend the zoning ordinance pertaining to MU2 zoning. President Bedanza gave permission to summarize the reading. Recommendation to adopt as presented by a vote of 7-1. 7 yeas, Councilors D. Cormier, Ardinger, Angelini, Tossi, Robbins, Frida, and Bedanza. 1 nay vote, Councilor Shalafou, Zephyr. Adopted by a vote of 7-1. Housing Committee of the City Council. Housing Committee recommended that the members of the City Council be invited to participate in the Housing Committee August 31, 2023. Mayor requests 2 members of the City Council serve on the committee. That was on the 9/11/23 agenda, meeting postponed due to flood. Requests brought up at 9/25/23 meeting. Councilor Frida volunteered to be on the committee. February 2024, Councilor Robbins requested to receive the agendas for the Housing Committee. That's from the mayor's office. Next letter, email from Haley Brady, Friday, August 29th, 2025, to Elizabeth Wood. Subject regarding planning board email list. Hi, Elizabeth. Thank you so much for the information. Please find email for the planning board below. Dear Leominster Planning Board members, I'm writing regarding the proposed multifamily residential development at 86 Orchard Hill Park Drive. After reviewing the zoning table included in the project submission, I noticed that certain buffer requirements, particularly the landscape buffer to other uses within the MU2 district and the landscape buffer to adjacent residents zoning district, allow planning board discretion to require widths up to 30 feet or up to 50 feet, depending on the type of buffer. Given the scale of this project, its proximity to residential neighborhoods, and the potential environmental impacts, I respectfully request the following. 1, I notice buffers for this project are proposed at 15 feet between uses in some spots and 30 feet between residential. I respectfully ask for confirmation of whether the planning board intends to require the maximum vegetated buffers permitted, that is 30 feet between uses and 50 feet between residential districts for this project. 2, if the maximums are not being applied, I would greatly appreciate an explanation of the rationale and the criteria being used to determine the final buffer dimensions. The zoning table clearly states that these decisions are, quote, at the discretion of the planning board, end quote. The power has been given to you to determine the maximum landscape buffers. Anything less is a choice, and it's a choice that favors the developer over the neighborhood. I'm asking you to use your full discretion and require the maximum. If you decide not to, the public deserves to know exactly why and whose interest that decision serves. I believe that given the scale of the development and the need to preserve neighborhood character and environmental quality, applying the maximum allowable buffer is both reasonable and consistent with the board's stated authority. Attached, please find the zoning table taken from the Bowler site plans submitted. Thank you for your attention. I look forward to your acknowledgement of this matter at the next meeting. Sincerely, Haley Brady. Next, email from Robert Tossi, City Councilor, Ward 1, Friday, August 15th, to Elizabeth Wood. Subject, Old Orchard Hill Park. To the members of the planning board, hello, my name is Bob Tossi, a 30-year resident of Ward 1 in Leominster and a current city councilor representing this ward. I'm writing to respectfully request that the planning board carefully review the size and scope of the proposed Old Orchard Hill Park project. As currently planned, this development is disproportionately large for our North Leominster neighborhood. Many Ward 1 residents feel blindsided by the scale of the proposal and are deeply concerned about its potential impacts. If approved in its present form, the project would significantly and negatively affect property values and diminish the overall quality of life for the residents. I urge the planning board to reconsider the scope of this project and work toward a solution that better aligns with the character, capacity, and needs of our community. Your support in protecting the well-beings and interest of Ward 1 residents is greatly needed and sincerely appreciated. Please do the right thing. Respectfully, Bob Tossi, Ward 1 City Councilor. Email from Steve White to Elizabeth Wood. Subject, this is dated July 20th, 2025. Subject, July 21, 25 Planning Board meeting. Hi, Elizabeth. I cannot attend the July 21 Planning Board meeting. I'll just get to it. Dear Planning Board members, my name is Stephen White, and I live at 35 Scenic Drive in Leominster. I ask you to please consider my input on the proposed development at the large apartment complex at the Orchard Hill Park property. While many residents have concerns related to the impact of the development to wetlands, public safety, city finances, and the environment and quality of life for city residents, one of my main concerns is related to traffic impacts, traffic management, and public safety. Given the current challenges and issues with traffic in Ward 1, the city and possibly state need to conduct a detailed traffic analysis on adding 400 units of apartments behind Target in addition to the future impact of the MBTA host community housing requirements in Ward 1. Another 400 units of housing on Lancaster Street and any other housing development plans being considered. It should also include the likely redevelopment of the mall at Whitney Field. The city is already gridlocked in numerous locations at many times during the day, especially at the intersections of Route 13 and Prospect, the intersection of Lawrence and Prospect Streets, and the intersection at Harvard, Mechanic, and Old Turnpike, which is also a main access point to Route 2. Another significant problem area, particularly in the afternoon and at peak commute times, is where Route 2 and Route 190 come together. The poor design of this merge of two major arteries significantly impairs travelers' access to North Leominster and forces people to exit at the Mechanic Harvard Street exit. Conducting a detailed traffic assessment prior to advancing with this proposed development is critical. Traveling around the city and Ward 1 in particular is already very challenging. While I'm not a traffic mitigation specialist, my many years and experience traveling these roads supports the likely need to install either a traffic light or rotary at the intersection of Harvard, Mechanic, and Old Union Turnpike. Changing the existing traffic light on Harvard Street at the intersection at the entrance to the shopping complex to a rotary might also be necessary to properly mitigate and the significant increased traffic, which is already very heavy and gridlocked at times, especially during Christmas holidays due to the increased traffic trying to access the shopping complex. Based on some preliminary research, my understanding is the cost of one rotary is in the multi-million-dollar range. Any costs of traffic mitigation should be covered by the developer and not the city. Carefully reviewing the impact of this development on the quality of life of individuals in the community of Leominster is crucial and part of the planning board's mission. Thank you for your attention to this important matter affecting the citizens, the residents of the city of Leominster. Sincerely, Stephen White, 35 Scenic Drive.
Okay. You all set? Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. I'd like to open it up to, is there a list, Elizabeth?
I have a sign-up sheet, and if you missed it, you can, and you want to speak, you can come sign up. I'll leave it.
Well, we'll just let them come up now.
Well, for the minute taker, it's hard. We need to make sure everyone's names are spelled appropriately and the addresses are correct. I
We
have,
can come up and just put them on.
Just come up.
I'll put it up on the podium. I have Bill Brady from 214 Harvard Street.
Good evening. I'm the only one signed. So, to be prepared for this meeting, we had heard this was going to be continued because of the finding of the vernal pool. So I don't think you can take this turnout as how many people are really concerned about this project. We would really request of the developers to reduce the size of this project in trying to keep our neighborhood as part of Leominster and not an incredible mass of apartment buildings. It'll change the entire personality of the area. Thank you.
Donna Millette, 58 Sky Lane. So I have a direct question. Is it Mr. Kelly? So my question is, so you say that the traffic leaving down the hill from the housing complex will be forced to turn left?
Excuse me, ma'am, remember, you have to, just
Oh,
for,
I just have a question for him.
yes, if you.
Yep. Okay, so
if you
the
refer
traffic,
to this
as
chair
the
and
traffic
then-
is forced to leave, we're told that that traffic is forced to make a left-hand turn.
That's correct.
So they will then impede the traffic that is in the right lane. So if you have to go past the traffic that's coming this way in order to make a left-hand turn, all of this traffic has to stop and will absolutely impact that intersection. But as I understand it, no, the decision to make any alterations on that intersection and the lights there will not be made until after we suffer through this, after the traffic exists. So I guess my question is, how is it that that is not going to impact the intersection when you are asking traffic knowingly to go past oncoming traffic? It makes no sense to me. What school will the children go to, and is that part of this traffic analysis? I have additional questions, but that one I want to have answered.
Again, Sean Kelly with Chapel Engineering. I'm a little confused. So just to be clear, the unsignalized driveway on Harvard Street would be a left-only driveway, which means that if you came to the stop sign across from essentially the Christian bookstore, you wouldn't be able to take a right and head up towards where I believe most of you live. There'd be signage and pavement markings and so forth to make you go left. You have to go towards Route 2. Now, when you come to the signal where Orchard Hill Park Drive meets Harvard Street, certainly there are no restrictions there. It's a signalized intersection. If you want to go left or you want to go right, you can do that. You have the right to make either movement. But our goal was to have the residents that are leaving not use the Harvard Street driveway as a means of making a right and going up through the residential area. And again, when we do these studies, it's all based on where we anticipate people are going to be driving to. And for the most part, we're looking at commuter traffic. So it's, where do you work? If you take a right onto Harvard Street and you go up to Prospect Street, unless you're looking to go Route 13 northbound towards North Leominster or, again, Lunenburg, there really isn't a real benefit to going that way. Most people, again, are going to get on Route 2. They're going to get on I-190. They're going to go to downtown Leominster, and they're going to go the other way. They're going to make a left-hand turn. So that we don't anticipate a lot of people are going to want to make that right.
You've already said that. The cue, as I understand what she said, was that the people coming out of that left, is there going to be a stop sign?
Right.
So the right-of-way will be for the people going south on Harvard Street. I think that's south, towards Orchard Hill, or towards Route 2.
We'll have a driveway onto Harvard Street, but Harvard Street won't have any stop signs on it at that driveway.
Not on Harvard Street.
No,
that's
Harvard
correct.
Street has the through movement. So
they will have
so
a
if
through
the question is, if someone's waiting to turn left off of the Harvard Street driveway,
Absolutely. Didn't you say 20 extra?
Please speak at the podium only.
but they
No,
don't.
ma'am, you can't. If you want to discuss it through me,
Right.
and I would like.
The only people that will be delayed by people making the left from the Harvard Street driveway are other residents that are potentially behind them also waiting to make that left. They will have no impact whatsoever on mainline traffic on Harvard Street that has the right-of-way. Think of any intersection you've ever gone to with a stop sign where you've at a T intersection. If you're at that stop sign waiting to make your left-hand turn, you're not impacting the through traffic on the main line. They have the right-of-way. So certainly if someone is waiting to make a left behind them, they're going to have to wait for that car to pass until they can make their left. But it doesn't have any adverse impact on Harvard Street traffic. And in fact, the predominant movement at the Harvard Street driveway is that inbound right-hand turn movement, people coming home, which again is a free movement and doesn't have any impact on mainline traffic on Harvard Street. Does that hopefully help?
Can I say something?
Yeah, you can.
I know you're going by the tables and what the studies show and some personal observation, but from being around here for,
Yeah, speak in this mic, please.
yeah, we see.
Push the button in front of you.
Hello. That's making the assumption, and it's easy to make that assumption if you're not from this area, that the traffic is going to all be heading to Route 2 to commute, the commuters. If it was me, and there's going to be a lot of people like me, they're going to go out the back way. So I don't think you're allocating the percentages correctly. And I think the encouragement that would help the Harvard Street situation would be to kind of allocate, which side goes which way to get out. But they're going to break that, but some kind of traffic pattern.
Right.
Because that back end is going to become the main way out for most of the people in there, because it's congested. They're not just going up Route 13, they're going right back to Route 2. Go by the quarry, take a right, you're there again. Go a little
Absolutely.
further up, you're there again. So it'll become an access road.
No, absolutely.
Especially
And I-
with the assumption that they're commuting to,
I
down
think-
Route 2 to work.
And I think our point is that if you are going out that back way, you're going to jump on Route 2, through Shirley, heading towards Shirley that way.
Yeah.
You're not going to come out on Harvard Street and take Harvard Street to
No,
cross.
but I'm
You'll
just
come out.
saying, you're not allocating the percentages right, because the traffic, you want to be real delicate that if it impacts Harvard Street from a traffic perspective, that you allocate it correctly. And I don't think those assumptions in some cases are correct, that's all.
Now, understood, and all I can say is that we've done it based on industry standards in
I
terms,
understand.
and it's been reviewed by your consultant who signed off and agreed with our
Well, to the
patterns.
industry standard and what that was, but I'm just saying, from a practical perspective, So it's a sensitive thing.
No,
You see
understood.
the sensitivity by people coming to speak their minds about what they think. And that's, again, it's one of Leominster's neighborhoods.
No,
And we
understood.
got to protect that as much as we can. So we need to be creative here. That's all I'm saying.
Has there been any discussion, feeling that to add a third from that intersection, a widening Harvard Street? So that you could have a third turning lane?
In which intersection would this be? The-
Well, from the,
Where
from
you
the
expect the
entrance to
congestion.
to the new development, back towards the lights, so that people could make that turn and the traffic from, from Prospect Street, let's say the Prospect Street end, can still travel on through and a left turn can be made.
We did this on Willard Street.
No,
in
no.
Leominster with a huge development, 35-plus homes. They wanted one way in and one way out, which is a, disaster, but we changed that. But part of the condition was you widen the road, you make the necessary changes so that even if it comes out a little bit the way your opposition thinks, it's a huge improvement.
Right, and again, we don't see
But
the
that's
volumes
the
there
message for the
that would warrant a left turn lane.
Would
On
that
Harvard
I
Street.
want to
enhance?
hear what his,
Yeah,
I want to
yeah.
hear what his response was. I'm sorry, I didn't
No,
hear yours.
we simply don't see the level of volume, even if we took all of the traffic that was coming in from the what I'll call the back door from Pioneer, assume they all, flew by Pioneer Park at Powell's, went up to the next intersection, came in through Harvard coming that way, we still wouldn't have the level of traffic that would warrant a widening to do a left turn lane there. It simply isn't. I mean, people work where they work, and it's simply that isn't the way people are going to be coming and going to work, is coming down Harvard Street to get into the site. It just isn't the arrival route. They will be coming from Route 2, they will be coming from downtown, they will be coming from 190. They certainly will be some coming in from Pioneer Park. But the volume of traffic that comes south on Harvard Street that would make a left-hand turn in, and again, we're going to have it signed in pavement markings to say don't make that left, but even if they did make that left, the volume just isn't significant enough that it would ever warrant widening to provide a left turn lane there. The volumes just aren't high enough.
She had a follow-up. You had other questions?
Well, I think he's wrong.
At the podium, please.
I'm trying, but he's standing there and I can't talk to him, so you ask me.
No, you can't, yeah, that's right.
No, and again, I would only concur that these distribution patterns were reviewed by your consultant who signed off on it, so.
Carol. Yeah, okay.
No, go ahead.
The way it's done is he'll sit down and you stand up, and if he has more
So
questions, he'll stand up.
the issue is, he speaks a lot about when people are going to work. How about when all of those people are coming home? You cannot tell me that there is not going to be an increase in volume of traffic when you have designed it not with a turning lane, not with a safety consideration, but instead asking people to cross traffic and not expect that that is going to impact. I know that you peer reviewed the studies that were done during school vacation. To say that the volume isn't there, but you're going to add 1,000 people to a neighborhood is simply not correct, period. So I guess we agree that we disagree, but I think for those people who live there and those people who drive that and will be waiting in line to go home, well, the people who didn't go out there to go to work, I guess, are in the way. I don't agree. It's absolutely
Okay.
It's
silly.
Thank you, ma'am. We
That's
we
the 2
agree
minutes.
to
Thank you.
disagree.
So the other issue that
That's the 2 minutes. You have a 2-minute time period. I had a time.
Thank you. So what this needs to be presented is that our land is wrong. All of this land that is on the plans.
Chair, are we holding people to 2 minutes, or are we exceeding that?
Let her speak, let her speak.
Thank you, thank you. So Sky Lane residents are not reflected on here. So they don't even have our houses correct. You're missing property on here. The property that you're missing has significant wetlands on it. These are the plans when we built our houses. They all have wetlands. So there is no 50-foot buffer. If I look back at the video, Ms. Wood, when you sold it to the council on 1/13/2025 that the mayor mentioned today, you said specifically this would not impact the local neighborhoods. Those were your words used several times. Of course it doesn't impact it when they don't even draw our properties correctly. Their plans do not, they're missing properties, and none of the wetlands except for the Copley's wetlands are represented. It's not done in fairness, it's not done correctly, and it's absolutely not being done in the fair way that we had expected this to happen. I know that the mayor mentioned that there was a lot of public hearings. I don't think people knew what MU2 was when they didn't show up at the public hearings, but we know what this is, and this is not right to this neighborhood. Where are these children going to go to school if they can't turn right? We don't even have our property properly recognized on here or protected. There's no 50-foot buffers. There's no acknowledgement of the neighborhood that's been there. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, if I may.
Go ahead.
So in response to the left-hand turn, so our initial iterations of the project did not show a left-hand only out of the project onto Harvard Street. We heard those comments from various boards and members of the town or the city, also from the community. So we made that change, thinking this was an advantage to the folks up Harvard Street. If there's a desire by the board and the neighbors to not have a left-hand only out of onto Harvard, we would be fine with that as well.
Okay, I don't think that's, I think the concern about the queue at that intersection.
Correct, but I believe the
Okay.
comment was turning left out onto Harvard in the morning, you'd be blocking oncoming traffic coming north.
Right.
Right, so if the desire is to not have it be left-hand only, that's something we would be happy to accommodate. We were doing that in response to comments wanting that change.
Okay. It's somebody answered, but I thought that we had a requirement for adjacent properties to be also surveyed and included on the plans.
Yeah, the adjacent properties are shown on the, adjacent, map baseball, adjacent properties are shown on the plans. There's probably properties that are adjacent to this project on Sky Lane that aren't shown, but they're not the abutting properties, they're just other properties in the vicinity, which is what I think she's referring to.
So you're saying,
So all abutting
I
properties.
couldn't hear part of what you said.
Oh, sure, yeah. Well,
Go ahead, sing us a song right in the mic.
You don't want that, I promise you.
I know it. Me neither.
Abutting properties are shown on the plan. Every property on Sky Lane isn't an abutting property, so perhaps that's the property she was referring to, but all abutting properties are shown on the plan.
But it's properties within 300 feet from the development that have to be shown.
I believe that's on there too, but I can double check as well on the cover sheet. I'll double check.
It's only on the cover sheet. You can't read the cover sheet.
Someone else said.
Kristen Howlett, 33 Sky Lane. I can point out on the map, there are 3 adjacent properties. No, I'm upside down. Only 2 are shown, and all 3 of us have wetlands that are abutting. So maybe the total square footage could be correct, I don't know. But there is a parcel of land that's not delineated on here. It's not correct. Mine is shown, my neighbor's is not.
Oh, okay. I believe it's 300 feet.
Oh, these are abutting. This is adjacent
Right.
to. This isn't anything other than that. And I'm happy to submit this, and I can go over the the problem if you want.
No, from the property line.
Yeah, can
I don't see that either.
Okay, I can take a long way.
Yeah, but then those aren't enough.
Yeah, we have a GIS map that has the line.
So you have some property,
I'll have to compare it with the GIS map.
okay. So there's a question on the abutting properties and whether they're delineated properly. Does that
That
sum
wasn't
up?
what I wanted to say, but yeah.
Does that sum it up?
I'm summing up, yes.
Okay, as I try to sum things up if I can. Okay, you have something
So,
else?
again, Kristen Howlett, 33 Sky Lane. I'm writing as a resident of Sky Lane to respectfully request the installation of a privacy fence and sound barrier between our neighborhood and the condominium complex. We have concerns about privacy, noise, increased lighting from the new development directly impacting our homes. Many of our backyards border the property line, and specifically, this is the parking lots. And without a barrier, the residents will be exposed to noise from the additional residents, the vehicles, the common areas, headlights and security lighting from the parking areas and buildings. And I was just told there's now a dumpster that's going to be put there, which will be in my backyard. Loss of privacy due to the heightened density of the new development. We believe a well-designed privacy fence or sound barrier would benefit both current and future residents, create a peaceful boundary between the two communities, and maintain the character of our existing neighborhood. We greatly appreciate the Planning Board's time, consideration, and efforts in balancing the growth with community well-being. I respectfully request this matter be added to an agenda for further discussion. Thank you for attention to this request. The other thing is, my specific question is where those parking lots are. Again, my property abuts the property next to me that isn't shown. There is some square footage. Even with different ice, de-icing, we still don't want the salt, the sand, plowed into our area. So the fence would definitely help that as well, the barrier. And how do we keep this stuff, because it's all mucky by the end of the winter season, from infiltrating our wetlands?
Yeah. That's taken care of by snow storage and the management plan.
But when they
won't be
plow,
allowed-
it's not going to spill
You're not going
over?
to be able to put, salt and sand, in snow storage into the wetlands. That's not allowed. So the snow storage is going to have to be away from that somehow, and it's going to have to be controlled.
And that's just what I ask, is to make
Yeah.
sure that there's enough of a barrier.
It should be controlled, okay?
Just
and
to
we
make
can
sure there's
ask,
enough of a
you know,
barrier between the edge of the parking lot and
Okay.
our lands. Thank you.
Can you address that, just how you control the snow runoff and from going into the wetlands?
And could we also get a response about the privacy buffer?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, in terms of the privacy buffer, that's something that we're happy to take a look at. Obviously, can't address it exactly. I think there's probably locations where there's grade change naturally now, and there's natural buffer that exists that may not make sense, but there may be other locations that do make sense, and we're happy to take a look at that.
'Cause we've required that on a lot of major projects, that abutted, neighborhoods or condo developments. So,
Understood.
just listen to what's being said here, that's all.
In relative to snow storage, I did mention that we updated the locations per coordination with conservation, and one of those is there's a DEP guidance relative to snow storage, and one thing is suggested in the guidance is locating snow storage areas more than 50 feet from a wetland, just so there's some overland flow from snow storages to any wetlands. Additionally, from where I understand Mrs. Howell to live, the site is actually a cut condition at that location, so located below the abutting property, so any snow in that location wouldn't drain off in that direction, it would drain towards the project site.
And
Okay.
since we're talking about buffers, can you speak a little bit about or address Haley Brady's questions to us about, you have a proposed 15-foot buffer in some spots, 30 in others. And I mean, I acknowledge we have discretion, but can you tell us
Yeah, sure, I guess,
Can you show it on the plan, if you can?
And if they're not 50 foot, can you tell us why you can't make them 50 foot?
so we ran through this a little bit at a previous hearing, but one thing when we were looking at the site design that we sought to do was to locate areas and grade the areas adjacent to abutting properties below those abutting properties. So there's a cut condition and a fill slope between our property and an abutting property. The reason for that is to locate parking and driveways below the abutting property to reduce the impact of headlights and cars and things like that. An additional effort we saw was to locate garages at key locations. So if there's a driveway that intersects with another driveway, putting the garage directly across from that driveway so that it's blocking any cars or headlights that might be going in that direction. So we've done that at several key intersections, particularly abutting the abutters. We did prepare these quick section views of the building at various locations throughout the development. So we tried to grab sections at, this is the first building coming in. This reflects the parking, the drive aisle, a garage, a cut slope about 4 to 6 feet of cut slope there to the edge of disturbance, the natural wooded buffer, and then the yard and house of the abutter. So we did put quite a bit of thought into the design to reduce the impacts of the project to the abutting properties, specifically with the grading and location of garages, and then also how we.
So that's a 140-foot buffer roughly?
Correct, from the abutter to the property lines.
Is that just to the wood line?
Correct.
So you got 140 feet. Is that primarily wetlands?
Not at this specific location, no. Not that I'm aware of anyways.
Where is that section cut?
Sure.
I can't understand what.
No, ma'am.
you have to please come up,
Please,
because then
if you want to speak, you have to come to the.
So while she's walking up, I'll,
By 2 minutes, I just wanted to.
You have to speak at the podium.
Well,
Come on up, don't be shy.
while she's coming up, I'll ask the question. We're lowering the elevation to improve sight lines. Where on the map is the least amount of buffer? What is the least amount of buffer in the development?
The top sketch, the top section is the least amount of
And how far
buffer.
is that? How many feet is that?
That is, I believe it's about 60 feet of wooded buffer from the.
60 feet.
So it's still over.
More than
But-
we're allowed to install.
But I'm
That's
including
anything over
Yes.
it. Just to be clear, when I say wooded buffer, I'm
Is
including.
that to the property line or to the building?
The 60 feet I mentioned is on the abutting property partially. So.
your question or a comment?
Name and address for the record, please, first.
Liz Macarella, 75 Harvard Street. I'll write my name down on here in a minute. I have comments. I just have a question at the moment, which is we can't see what we're looking at. There's no context, and we can't read it from the back. So we'd appreciate, I think, all of us, just a narrative. Like, what are we looking at? Where is the plan that section is cut through, so that we understand what they're trying to say about those things?
That's a fair question. So this section C is drawn from building C through this property right here, so that line that I'm showing on the screen right now.
Is there a way to point it out on the screen? Because I still
Right
can't
here.
tell from here.
No,
Yeah,
put your finger on it. Somebody stand up and put their finger on it so she knows where they're talking about.
Right here?
Correct, yep.
Yeah. so
Yep,
now-
that line right there, yep.
So that's currently a neighbor's property?
Partially our property and partially a neighbor's property. So that's this section.
That's that section there. So
Correct.
are the abutting properties delineated on this section?
The dark.
It's to
bold
the
line.
left.
The dark
Right
bold
here.
line is
Yeah.
the neighbor's property?
That's the property boundary.
So most of your trees are on the neighbor's property that you're showing as a buffer?
Like this. It's not existing.
Yeah, we're showing the distance all the way from the project all the way through the abutting residential.
So what are you claiming is your buffer out of
Yeah,
that?
Right.
Well, you're putting a buffer in their property?
No,
You can't
I
claim
mean, that doesn't
property
make
for
any
buffer.
sense.
So from your line, excuse me, I'm sorry. Your line right here, and I think it's just a matter of how we explain it. from your line, the end of your property line, how much buffer how much buffer is there?
Yep, sure. Yeah, in general, the garages are located 30 feet away from the property line.
So that, you can't include that as a buffer, but I mean, so you got about 15 feet of buffer, roughly speaking, a little more, maybe 20?
Yeah, roughly.
Okay. I just trying to understand, because where you can protect, if it is in a lot and it makes sense and it helps your cause, then you protect. So, to increase the buffers to at least, accommodate some of what we're looking at and what people are talking about, I think would be a smart thing.
I'm a little confused.
Not counting the buffer's got to be on your property.
Jason, is your mic on?
Buffer is on your property. You can include a wetland.
Their trees, or their
trees.
Or their property.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, we understand that, but we're trying to show a realistic view
No,
of
understood.
what it's like out on the site. Not,
Understood.
we get what the
But
language says on number of feet on our property to the property line, but that doesn't really do justice for what is the actual condition out on the field.
We understand that, and we do, we really understand that.
thank
So, we know that. We just want to make sure that maybe, there's some mitigation there to increase your buffer, without counting theirs, and to, maybe put some nice trees or vegetation that's going to help their privacy. All these are little things that when you add them together make huge differences. So.
And the second section at the bottom, where is that cut?
That's just a bigger picture.
That's the same cut.
It's the same one?
Oh, there's a different one over here.
It's over there. So,
So that's Skylar.
so again, it looks like there's pretty minimal buffer on your actual property. Is that the case, if we scroll to the section?
Same, I
It's,
would assume, yeah.
those sections are at the same scale, so we're down to what, 5 feet of wood?
No.
No. But still, to your point, it's less than would be desired.
Yes.
And something that can be mitigated.
And-
It's less than we're allowed to require.
We can
within our
require up to
purview.
50 feet.
Yeah, they require it.
Yeah, and I guess that, So-
And, we're just trying to, if it's gonna be there, let's make it the best we can make it. And let's make it the least invasive we can make it. That's a good word now, least invasive.
Yeah, least
And
invasive.
agree to disagree is a good word too, so it's good to get ideas from everyone.
yeah, agreed. I mean, I don't, to go into my comments a little bit, and I have a lot, I'm gonna try to strip them down and be brief, but as I understand the mission of the planning board, it's about enhancing the quality of life for the city residents. And it actually, part of your mission statement says to preserve the city's unique rural and historic character. And I'm certain I'm not telling you anything new. You all volunteer for this. You're doing this because you know what the mission is, and I assume that you really deeply believe in it. And us as residents, also, we chose to buy here because this is important to us too. So this project, again, as I understand it, it's a significant departure from our historic practice of the density we allow in our city. I believe it's without precedent to a rather large degree. I don't understand why we need to allow this in our city, in this space, or anywhere else. The property is not in alignment with the existing character of the area.
It's time.
That's great. I'm really hoping I can say what I came here to say.
I'll give you 5 minutes, but okay.
Thank
Another
you.
couple of minutes.
I'd appreciate it.
Go ahead.
So we understand there's a need for housing in this area, and we're happy to welcome new residents into our community. But I would like them to feel like a part of our community and not a separate enclave on the hill that we're somehow separate from or worried about or don't understand.
Okay.
This project being put through without input from the community.
No,
is-
excuse me, ma'am. You're getting into personal issues, okay? Do you
No,
have
I'm not.
detail?
Okay.
I would like to,
Okay.
I don't know how you can say you're not getting input from the community. This is at least the third
third,
meeting,
and
the
fourth.
second substantive one.
Okay,
All
let me explain something to you. You sat through, you've been here for this evening. A prior hearing, what did you hear on a prior hearing on an ordinance?
What did I hear at a
What-
prior
what-
hearing?
You were here, it was a
Yes.
prior ordinance, okay? And there was an ordinance from the state saying that I have to have ADUs. Do you think we want ADUs?
I don't
No.
know. I don't know, sir.
Accessory unit. Everybody in this room that has a single-family home can now take, by the state, no, let me finish, by the state, okay, add an apartment to their house.
I understand that, sir.
But that's what happens. Things happen from the state. They come down and we're required, and they put weights on the city that we have to do these things. Not that we want to.
I understand that.
So-
I'm a licensed architect in the state. I do understand these issues that I'm talking about. If I could just speak to the traffic issue for a moment and try to add things that have not yet been stated. The direction from the housing complex to the MBTA commuter station is via Harvard Street. It is not the other way toward Route 2. Same with the schools. This Harvard Street is already a dangerous road. It's not a road we allow our children to ride bikes on or walk on without adults being present, which seriously detracts from the nature of the road already. But I have a lot of concerns. There will be children. We'd like them to be a part of the community, and this road is already dangerous. There are trucks that are supposed to be excluded from our road that go down our road all the time. When I moved here 21 years ago and bought my house, the speed limit was 25 on Harvard Street, and at some point it was raised to 30. It's just a dangerous road already, so I'm concerned about the additional impact. I also wanted to just state for the record that I agree with the letters that were written by Haley Brady and Bob Tosi and Steve White and all the other comments expressed by the residents tonight.
Thank you very much.
Hi, I'm Kim Brady, 214 Harvard Street. A couple things, the ADU units. That's, if I'm adding a unit onto my house, I'm hopefully not going to bring someone from Boston. And I don't mean that I wouldn't, but I'm going to more think of people in our community. So I think that's going to be more of these would be more local people that we would try to help out instead of helping everybody from Boston. Where this development would be more for people that are coming in from Boston. So I think that an ADU is more helping out people in the community. The other thing is dogs. There could be a lot of dogs coming in with this, and you have the discretion of not allowing dogs or limiting dogs. I think it's up to you whether this complex could have dogs or not. I mean, this could affect our neighborhood too, with a lot more dogs in it. A lot more loose dogs, a lot more. Even the dog park might affect the wetlands, and which is not you. I get that, but I think it's in your.
We had a legal opinion. We did have a legal opinion on that matter. If you'd like to hear about that, the attorney's here who wrote it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, dog control is not within the purview of this board on this thing, which is site plan review. Certainly conditions can be added to a site plan approval that sometimes go to general welfare, but it's not a condition that this board could impose.
I don't think it's totally out of your realm to allow it or not allow it. So you could put stipulations in there to.
They couldn't require that as a condition. If it was a condition that everybody agreed on and it wound up in a site plan approval, then that may be the case. But it's not listed as one of the site plan approval criteria, which everybody has to remember, that's all we're here on. This isn't a special permit, right? A special permit is a much more robust review that the board has a lot more power to put conditions on. That's not this based on the way the revised ordinance reads. It's just site plan review.
Right. The other thing is on the direction of the cars going out of the complex. Living on Harvard Street my whole life, I realize how much more traffic is coming on From my house, I don't go towards the highway all the time. There are times you need to go to Asian Imperial, or you need to go to Johnny Appleseed, or you need to go to Nashua. And more traffic down Prospect Street is going to be tough. Not only that, if I had to get on the highway, go one exit up, get off in North Leominster and go that way, that's a real hassle too, because trying to go over that bridge by Baker Cadillac is really tough. There are some new lights there, has helped some, but now if you're adding 1,000 more cars, in the morning, yes, everybody might go to Boston. I mean, I'm sure a few cars will be going. Maybe there'll be new teachers at Johnny Appleseed or whatever, which is going to be needed. The school's going to have to grow. More kids, but to say that everyone's going to go down and get on Route 2 every day, it's not all going to happen. But even if they do, and they need to go, I would never go to try to get to Johnny Appleseed and go get on the highway, go down one exit, and take North Leominster, try to get through up by Wyman's, the Baker Street Bridge, the little, Whalen Park straight ahead, that little bridge, trying to get in there. It's going to be tough. To add more cars to this area is going to be.
The roads were made for cows and not for cars.
What's that?
The roads were made for cows.
That's right.
That's
right. We live right off the stagecoach. Right. All right. And thank you. We appreciate your time. We know that but it is important for all of us to get our comments in, because this project is really, really devastating to our little area.
Tia Fletcher, 365 Baldwin Drive. My question, I have spent a significant amount of time in the Harvard, Boston, Cambridge, Lincoln, all that type of area. And with apartments this nice, it really does seem that it would belong in more of a community that is not an original orchard. This area of Leominster still has a rural undertone to it. So putting in something that seems very city-like, even though Leominster is a city, but big city-like, seems to provide two different atmospheres at the same time. Also, there is still a question that has been unanswered. The elementary school children, where would they go to school? That's all I have to say.
I wish I could answer the one on the school, but most of the schools that I can speak from, the younger kids will probably go to Johnny Appleseed, and the older ones will probably go to Francis Drake, but it's, I can't answer that.
David Rowlands, 49 Brayburn Circle in North Leominster, and I just wanted to sort of reinforce some of the traffic discussion here, because I think I agree with Sal when there's a little bit of naivety here about understanding the patterns. First of all, kids will be probably going to JA and Skyview. And for those of you who live anywhere near Day Street and you notice that the road, painting on that road has been shifted to the right by the back entrance into Johnny Appleseed. And the reason is because cars line up all the way down Day Street. So whether we like it or not, whether we have busing and all that stuff, parents drive their kids to school. So there's a substantial multi-bedroom apartments in this complex, and the scale of that is going to be bringing students. You can go ask former principals at JA what happened when big apartment complexes come in. They're almost always underestimated the impact on the schools that they have. There will be people that maybe work in Boston and Worcester and all these places, but they're going to be taking and going through North Leominster to take their kids to Johnny Appleseed, to Skyview, and to the train station. That's going to happen in a pretty large number. Anybody who knows to try to get out at the back end of Orchard Hills is already a disaster to try to get out there in the morning. It's very busy. You got to sneak out by Powell's and try to get in. You get the gas station. That's not a fun intersection. People are going to say, hey, rather than deal with that mess, I'm going to try to go through Harvard Street and go up that little path. And it's going to impact the traffic on both when you go to drop your kid off at JA or Skyview. And there's going to be people running around. I've dealt with that for years, the traffic in North Leominster, and it's going to be heavily impacted with this many units and this much traffic. So, I mean, I think we all can agree that the size and scale of this for one of the most congested parts of the city is just huge. And the traffic is going to be huge. And it's naive to think that everybody's going to come out just up on Route 2, because that's not going to be the case.
Do I have someone else?
Good evening, Claire Frieda, 117 Debbie Drive. I just want to clarify, in the course of the vice chair reading the letters and reading some of the city council's meetings, you also alluded to the housing committee, where I offered to join. It was requested of us to have 2 councilors on that housing committee. Nobody was stepping up to the plate. There were 9 of us, and it was reiterated that they wanted to have councilors on that committee as well. When I thought about it, my expertise in real estate, 40 years worth as a broker and an appraiser, I offered to join that committee. It started off with the MBTA zoning, which I was really against, but we had no choice. I wanted to watch that, so that was one of my reasons for getting on. But it got to a point where that committee was just dissolving rapidly. It was department heads, it was developers. If you look at the minutes, it's misleading to just say I was on the committee and I served on that housing committee. Because if you look at the minutes, I dissented more than I supported. I talked about the neighbors having to be notified when something was happening. I talked about effects of neighborhoods. I've been in the real estate business long enough to know what affects a neighborhood. You know, where people want to move into a neighborhood so their kids can go to a neighborhood school. I know how all that works. It's very important to note that when it got to that point, Joe Boyle from MRPC, Massachusetts Regional Planning Commission, who was hired by your body to serve on that with the Housing Committee, alluded to the fact that at one of the meetings that the City Council didn't like the housing proposal being brought forward. And I said, I don't think I missed a council meeting, but there was no council supporting or talking against this committee because we were never notified. And then he proceeded to tell me that the council president and the former legal affairs chair didn't like the zoning and they were going to take it over. And it was going to be a working committee of those 2 and myself. And I said, that's not happening. And I quit. Mr. Chairman, you know, I quit that housing committee because of the downward spiral it was leading to. It had no effect on the housing in this city. It was all developers and department heads, and it was not an accurate assessment of what we need in this community for housing. So I want it very clear on the record that I didn't just sit at the housing committee and it just followed along to where I was. It was very clear that it took a bad turn. And when we talk about recommendations from the housing committee, look at the dates because I wasn't there for most of them. So I want that clear.
Well, I want to make it clear. It occurred to me so I probably should have said this at the beginning, but this seems to be like cut and paste what I read. At first, I thought I was reading minutes of the of the meeting when they first heard it, and then when they voted on it, but then and I had reviewed it in advance, then it occurred to me it was cut and pasted from different minutes of different meetings. For example, I can tell, the first thing I read was 6.0 communications, this section, this came from our minutes. And then it's the city council action, and this was probably from minutes of previous meetings.
And then it's housing committee.
And then there's just this section at the bottom, you can tell it's like cut and pasted, housing committee, city council, and it was probably just culled from other minutes of the city council meeting and all,
Right.
and made together in one composite.
I just want to make it very clear that the city council didn't know what some of these recommendations were approved or not approved, because we never knew about them. But, you know, for Joe Boyle to say that at a meeting, I was going to save this conversation for when the petition by the 3 councilors comes up at the council meeting, because I wanted Joe Boyle to be there and the chairman and Elizabeth, because they were all at those meetings. So, you know, it's very important. If we're gonna put information forward, it's got to be accurate information, because I spent time on that committee, you know, in good faith for this city. And to be misrepresented because some minutes, you know, were cut and paste, I want it clear what actually happened and how that happened.
Can I ask you this?
You can.
In that does that housing committee still exist?
I don't know, I quit. Elizabeth can tell you.
It was, I know that Elizabeth was on it, and understand, and the mayor wanted 2 city, and I know I'm going off topic, but it's really not.
And it's my fault
really
bringing
not.
off topic, but you alluded to it.
But in some ways, it's not, because I'll get to it. Were any, like, residents of the city of Leominster on
none.
there?
None.
Like this young lady, you know, the young lady who happens to be an architect and lives in
Yeah.
the area. Was there anyone invited? Just regular citizens
No.
of?
And it was one developer, and then another developer, and then another developer, and that's all that was making decisions, or recommendations, not decisions, recommendations to the housing committee. And then when some of the things were brought forward, that's when, you know, the president of the council and the former legal affairs chair decided that they didn't like what was being brought forward prior to. So all of a sudden it was changing, and that's when I said, I'm not working with the 3 of us on that housing committee. And I spoke with the chairman. He knows I quit the committee at that point.
And I think the point of this that the mayor wanted to emphasize was that it wasn't, the zoning amendment wasn't done behind closed doors. It was actually, it came before, it went through the regular process where there was a petition, it came before us, we make a recommendation to the city council. So I think that's the point of it. So I don't want,
Right.
and that's why it was compiled by the mayor's office.
Which is why I joined it to begin with, when nobody was stepping to the plate. Because I know the market. I know what I could put forward for suggestions. But it wasn't worth it. I mean, that wasn't how it was meant to be. So it's important to have that record straight for me. Thank you.
Okay, sure.
Thank you.
Hi there, good evening. Sue Shalafuza from a city councilor here in Leominster at large. I appreciate Councilor Frida stepping forward and talking about the housing committee, because she did serve on that. I did not. I had my hands full doing other things on the city council. But I do want to be clear to Ms. Vittorioso's point about all of those meetings and everything. The conversation, I think people should really watch the video of the January 13th, 2025 City Council meeting when the petition, I think it was 15-25, came up for that zoning change. We didn't have a red line document. No. We had some proposed changes. We had a public hearing. Ms. Wood appeared on behalf of the planning board and on behalf of, she was the only person there to talk about these zoning changes. Questions were asked. Not a lot of information was provided. What is the density? What are we talking about? How many units? Is this a big deal? Why would we give up, we meaning you, the planning board, because it was your recommendation, give up a special permit for a subdivision of residential units in a multi-use 2 zone? These were questions that I asked, other city councilors asked, and we didn't get any answers. And so I understand that there were a number of public hearing notices, both your own and city council ones. There was not a lot of information to be provided. So, you know, the idea that the change in zoning, the MU2 change, came about with a lot of information that was provided to the council or to the public is just not accurate. And I would encourage you, really, look at the January 13th, 2025 hearing. There's the public hearing, and then there is the continued city council discussion and debate and vote on that petition. I think it's really important for people to understand. There was no information, there was no detail. There was no density. There was no number of cars, there was no number of units. There wasn't any specific information. It was, oh, we just want to make it easier, you know, for developers to develop things. We had already passed the MBTA zoning, so we had met the state requirement that we needed to so that we wouldn't lose grant money. But in this case, there was not any detail, there was not any information. I asked for it, other people at the city council meeting asked for additional information, and some of the answers that came back, oh, you know, how big is the lot, how many more lots, what, you know, what's the density, there was no information. And I think that's really important for people to understand. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Brandon Robbins, 8 Brentwood Drive. I'm also an at-large city councilor. I want to start by echoing the points of my colleague on the city council. I think as a city councilor, their questions were definitely asked. Answers were given sometimes, and to the point Mr. Brady made earlier, a lot of the answers seem to be misleading compared to what I'm hearing sitting here tonight. In addition to that, though, through the chair, I'd like to get a better understanding of the economic impact. I think when we're talking about a project of this size, you know, I've heard numbers out in the community being thrown around of $3,500 rents that, you know, people are going to be paying in these apartments. And what is that rent price going to do to other rent prices across the city? Obviously, my guesstimation would be it's going to push them up. So I'd love to get some understanding of what that impact might be on the city at large. And as a former school committee member, obviously the school concerns are huge as well. Johnny Appleseed, Skyview, all of our schools, honestly, are already busting at the seams. What impact is a 400-unit apartment complex going to have on our schools across the city?
Good evening. My name is Carrie Noseworthy. I reside at 95 Smith Street. I am the Ward 5 City Councilor as well, only since late April, so I wasn't sort of part of all of this as it unfolded. But as I sit here tonight, to not reiterate what's already been said, the two things that are coming to mind for me is that I was very much impacted by the September 11th flooding. And I'm not an engineer, but as I was watching sort of the things that were being shared, I just want to talk about for a minute, not just typical drainage, but, and I know it was mentioned that you did this kind of work in all over Massachusetts. We are in a very unique spot. We get very unique weather patterns here, whether they are snow or rain. So one of my concerns and things to throw out there is for both of the abutters looking at the wetlands as well as the new property owners in the buildings, I would take serious concern and really look at drainage issues and looking at climate change. So that's one big thing that I haven't heard that I think is very important for both the people already living here and the new residents coming in, because there's nothing worse and more traumatic than being impacted by a flood that takes things. The other piece that I just also want to accentuate is the educational piece. I've never been on school committee, but I've been a huge advocate for Leominster Public Schools. And not only the typical questions that are being asked, like busing routes and drop-offs, we know are already sort of dangerous at all of our schools, but I had 2 children on IEPs, and I had to fight really hard for them to get educated. And if those children coming in, we never know who's going to be accessing special education, you also need to really be thinking and assessing, as COVID money and things, go away, how we're going to educate youth coming in with 400 units. That's a really large amount of units. So again, we can never predict who's going to be coming into our community, but that's going to be a substantial financial impact, not to just the economic piece, but also regular education and special education. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Councilor Robbins is looking for an answer to his question. I don't have an answer.
What was his question? Which question?
Question was twofold, right? It was the economic impact of rents on the city.
The economic impact that's going to have across the city.
That's
Something else.
The rents.
the rent in the school. Well, that's,
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, the rents, first of all, as we sit here today, we're a long way off from opening the property. Rents are gonna go up or down over that period of time, and we'll assess when the time comes where those rents will land. There'll be a wide range from one-bedroom units all the way up to three. I heard a comment, something around 3,000. Maybe that could be a three-bedroom unit, don't know. It could be far less for a two-bedroom unit and far less for a one-bedroom unit, but at this point in time, we don't set those rents. It's gonna be a long way off whenever the market will yield at that period of time.
this type of unit, what is your perception for how many children would you expect in, 300 units that
Yeah.
you're proposing at this time?
So in our experience, there was a comment earlier made about underestimation of number of school children in these types of developments. Our experience is the exact opposite. There's always an overestimation of number of school children. We generally see very few school children in these properties. Yes, there will be some. There is some three-bedroom units. There's some two-bedroom units that are larger. So there will be children. How many that will be, we don't know. But it's a small percentage. I mean, it's always overstated, not understated.
Would you figure that most of these people are transient? And what I mean by that is they be there 2-3 years and then move on?
I wouldn't say that. I think it's a mix. In the past, you might have that be more of the norm, but these days people are choosing to rent and they're staying in their rental units much longer. Owning a home is very expensive in the state of Massachusetts, and in most cases people can't afford to buy one, so they're going to rent, and often they're going to rent for a long term. But there's going to be some people that'll rent for a year and move on, and there'll be some people that will rent for many years and stay in place, so it's a mix.
Mr. Chair, I just
Okay.
Well, this gentleman is at the podium now. If you're going to yield to him,
Just based on your experience, you mentioned you have other units
you have to
across.
talk to us, please.
Sorry.
Talk to us.
Based on the applicant's experience, they mentioned they have units across Massachusetts. Is there some comparison they can give us by another city or town? I can't imagine we go into a project without some sort of revenue projections.
Sure. I'm happy to. So a suburban development like this would range somewhere in the $2.50 to $3 a foot range. I know that's a wide range, but it's by unit type, unit size, unit fit and finish, community that it's in, so on and so forth. But that's a fair range.
Okay, yes, ma'am. Yes, sir.
It's like he's answering the question. You may not like the answer to the question, but he's answering the questions.
John Kane, 265 Harvard. First of all, I just wanted to ask, and I know this is you got that diagram up there. I've seen a photocopy of it on this size piece of paper. It would be nice if we all had copies of what the actual project looked like.
You can go to the planning department anytime, and they can make copies for you.
Well, all these people here, I don't think have time to go to the planning department.
Well,
So
You can email me anytime. Email my office. I have my phone number and email are both online. I can provide you a digital link to the plans. Anything you want. Anything, any of the memos, any of the.
So what I'm getting at is next time we have, next time this particular session comes up, we should have some copies already done over here, so when we come in, people can pick it up and look at it
The
at that
planning
point.
department has a hard enough time getting all of us our copies. The planning director said that she could email
Well, I would
everything to
imagine
you.
these guys here would be up to these guys, but, that's their presentation. I would imagine their presentation would be a little more professional.
That's not
But
an
that's
issue.
okay. The thing with the, you're gonna put all these people in there and so forth. wintertime comes, you're gonna use salt. All those pools that are regarded sacred, and all the wetlands and stuff like that. As soon as they use salt, you're gonna lose that stuff within a year or two. Because guess what? Salt goes down into the ground and leaches down. That's why when you're on the highway and you go through some areas where there's reservoirs, you see the signs, no salt used, because it goes down into the ground. So within a year or two, if they let that, project happen, you're gonna lose those natural resources anyway, regardless of what you do. Because the first time you put salt down, you're done. And when you got 400 people, somebody's gonna do it, okay? In regards to the traffic, okay, I go down, I'm there, I live there, and I'm down there a lot, okay? First of all, I would like to ask the guy that did the traffic report, the study, how exactly was it done? Was it done by a person sitting there going 1, 2, 3, 4? Or was it done the way that things are done nowadays, like we see on Route 2 and 495, where they put the rubber hoses across and they have the machines on the side, where you get a real, actual count? Doesn't matter if it's 2 in the afternoon or 2 in the morning, you're going to see the real numbers of the people going down over those.
Okay.
For the
You're fine. Go ahead.
Okay. So I'd like to see, again, where the report came from, how they come up with those numbers, all right? And the last thing is he mentioned the 15% of the people are going to be coming out on the Prospect Street side of the project, the lower end, and not on the Harvard Street project. Well, I don't know who did those numbers up. Maybe it was a 10-year-old, but I got news for you. The human person isn't going to do what sometimes is logically correct. They're going to go and do whatever they want to do. Now, unless you're going to have a cop at each entrance directing people, you can't go that way, you got to go that way, you got to go that way, it ain't going to happen. The 15% going out the lower end, out on Prospect Street, is obviously not going to happen.
Okay, we got your 15%.
Okay, so,
Thank you.
and the other thing I just would like to ask is, if they do a study, when you go down there and do the study on the highway, show up around 2:30 in the afternoon and see the backup of the traffic as it starts. And it goes till 7 o'clock at night. For those that don't know, it's not an easy thing right at this time. Add a few more 100 people or 1,000 people in there and their cars and all the traffic. That's what I'm saying. Thank you.
Rob? Was it automatic counts on the, how the turn, the different, on the traffic?
Sure, I can answer that. Again, Sean Kelly. So the way we do our counts is we actually hire an independent third-party sub-consultant. And what they do is they typically don't use in the old days, they would actually have someone sit out there with almost like a Game Boy and hit buttons every time a car goes by. And you introduce human error, you have to have someone sitting in the field. We'd also put out road tubes, and those often got ripped up, especially if you had inclement weather with plows and things of that nature. So now, typically when you do traffic counts, what they do is they put a video camera up, and that camera captures all of the traffic going through the intersection or along that roadway for the determined period of time. And then there's proprietary software that takes that data and breaks it down into the actual movements, cars going left, cars going through, cars going right, whether it's a truck, whether it's a larger vehicle, things of that nature, motorcycles, pedestrians, bicyclists. So it's all captured through video technology now, and then there's software that translates that into data. And to be frank, when we hire these companies, they have no idea what the counts are for. We simply give them a map and say, these are the locations, these are the time periods. They go and process the data and give it to us without any idea as to what the use will be. So it's done by a third-party vendor, independent, and it's done, again, through video technology.
Okay, thank you.
Angela Cahill, 22 Pierce Street, Leominster. I live on the upper side of Harvard Street where people would be coming up to Route 13. So they keep talking about how no one's going to do anything but get on Route 2. Once we've already figured out that, yes, they are going to go somewhere because they're going to go to schools. Secondly, where are they going on the weekend? They all gonna hang around in their apartment complex, or are they getting on Route 2? They're gonna go to Dollar Tree, Wyman's, Chinese food, Advanced Auto Parts, Athens, get their oil change, get gas, Dunkin' Donuts, all the way up Route 13. So they're not going on Route 2 Saturdays and Sundays. Thank you.
Thank you.
How you doing? Keith LeBlanc, 36 Ridgewood Drive, Leominster. Just on the traffic, the one thing that I haven't heard so far is around the 3 o'clock to 5 o'clock hour as these cars are coming home, turning onto Harvard Street. You get one car that wants to take a left to get onto Route 2 West, and that intersection backs up. And then you have cars that are exiting Route 2 West to get onto Harvard Street, and then cars coming out of Orchard Hill, the gym and all that. I think, you might have a safety concern with the cars backing up onto Route 2 off that exit ramp with that influx of cars. Something to consider. Has that been taken into account? Was that part of the traffic survey?
Yes, there were counts in, even into Lancaster.
No, the exit from Route 2 backing up. You know how difficult it is to get onto Harvard Street? Yep, was that taken into account?
I believe it was.
Can we verify?
That was part of the study area, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Stephen Hemingway. I live at 7 White Street, pretty close by. I have a point and then 2 questions. One, to go back to what the council people said, the knowledge for the actual people of the neighborhood of what was going on was basically nothing to most people. To what I understand, I mean, I knew nothing until literally this past month, where a neighbor who found out haphazardly slid a bunch of pamphlets into different people's homes. We had no idea what was going on until then. So just to put that for transparency. My question regards to the traffic, when was this actually counted? Was it throughout the entire year, or was it for a specific time, several months? Because I've lived here my whole life and seen how the impact of the mall is, but also I've delivered there. And I can firsthand account to the fact that when it comes time to November, December, if you're trying to get from Route 2 for literally sometimes the majority of the day, it's backed up not even just onto Harvard and then down there, it's way back on Route 2. Like to the point where even where the cars are coming in from 190, so they can't even get onto Route 2 because the cars are trying to get off the exit to even come to our direction to get to the mall. So I wonder when that traffic report was actually for, whether it was the entire year or whether it was a specific time period for that reason. Number 3, my more recent question, the light that is at that intersection with the mall, up until recently, it always seemed to prioritize traffic of both the neighborhood and going in and out of the mall, where when cars came up, it would change or quickly change so people could get through the intersection. For the past month or 2, it seems like it's very hard prioritizing coming from the mall. So if they're saying most of this traffic is going to go around the back of the mall and then through the mall to get to Route 2 instead of going on to Harvard, that means we're going to just have even longer time waiting at the light to even get through there to begin with. So is there anything that we can account for in regards to how that light will actually operate during that time to not just make it so anyone in the neighborhood is just waiting longer? Those are my questions and points.
So in terms of the responses, I know at the last meeting there we had the same issue, and it was brought up. There was a question of when did you do your counts? Why didn't you do your counts during the Christmas season? And again, I don't want to paraphrase what your peer review consultant told you, but I'll repeat it again. The state standard, the industry standard, the Mass DOT standard, the MEPA standard is average month conditions. So what we do is we do traffic counts, and if the month we do counts in is a below month condition, we bump them up. If it's an above month condition, we keep them as it is to be conservative. So we did our study, we did counts in February. Schools were in session when we did our counts, and we bumped those counts up to reflect average month conditions. You would not do a traffic study for this area 2 weeks before Christmas. You simply wouldn't, because the volumes there aren't there for the rest of the year, and you simply, it's not an appropriate design standard. But we did do it to average month conditions, which is the standard way to do those. In terms of the light itself, we've done a full analysis of the traffic operations there. The delays, the increase in delays associated with the project are not significant. You might wait a couple extra seconds at that light when the project is built, but it's not. It doesn't create long delays. There were some requests that we go out and upgrade some of the signal equipment, mostly for the emergency vehicles in terms of detection, Opticon, things of that nature, and I think we've agreed to do that. Ultimately, if there is a need to do some minor tweaking of the signal, we can do that. But again, based on the results of our analysis, we don't anticipate there will be need to do that. This is a fully actuated signal. What that means is that as the Orchard Hill Park Drive has cars on it, they'll get a green light. When that last car clears that intersection, leaving Orchard Hills, the green light goes back to Harvard Street. Harvard Street will get the green light. When the cars clear Harvard Street, the green light goes back to Orchard Hills. And it basically works as what we call a fully actuated signal, where the green light gets moved to where the volume is and where it's needed. And we're not proposing to make any changes to that. It'll still operate the same way, albeit with a little bit more volume coming on Harvard and coming off of Orchard Hill Park Drive. Thank you.
Okay. Do I have anyone else?
Can I just make one more?
Sure.
Kim Brady, 214 Harvard Street. My niece called the school department to see if she could get my nephew school choice into Leominster, and he would go to Johnny Appleseed, and she was told that he couldn't. The school was full, and they weren't accepting any school choice kids in. So just take that into consideration.
Thank you.
Chair, I just want to remind you that we do have Fuss and O'Neill here. If you wanted him to speak to stormwater, I know there was a comment about flooding. I don't know if that relates or if you want to resolve that.
Yeah, go ahead.
Scott Turner from Fuss O'Neill.
So my name's Scott Turner. I'm with Fuss and O'Neill. We reviewed the stormwater report. We did 3 reviews. There's one comment that's still outstanding regarding the vernal pools and a change of the drainage system. So we look forward to seeing that information. I don't know if you have any specific questions about stormwater management. Everything has been done consistent with standard practices, and like I said, we had a bunch of comments. Our first letter had about 35 comments, I think, and they've addressed
On the
all but.
on the vernal pools, you saw them, yeah, you know where they are.
Yes.
How much is there, now that they've been classified as a vernal pool, on the water calcs, would anything much change? Or was that calculated as a vernal pool or just a prospective vernal pool?
Well, the vernal pools weren't, we identified them as potential vernal pools. Now I know they're, my understanding is that they've been certified since we first. Right, so there's an increased measure of treatment, protection. Treatment, you have to monitor your flows, you have to analyze the flows. They didn't do that the first time, and that's totally acceptable because they were not certified then. So,
okay. So because they are now certified, the flow calculations will change.
Right, the standard is you try to replicate
right
what's there in terms of flows, in terms of volumes, in terms of water quality, to make sure that you maintain the biology of those vernal pools.
Right.
And that's what they need to do.
I think I was just trying to make sure that we knew that we're going to have to do a new study to determine the proper flows.
That's right.
Yes, okay.
Anything else?
I don't have anything
How
else.
much, Tommy, well, I guess we'll talk about that one.
Yeah.
So we're going to continue this regardless because we're still waiting for that answer.
Yes.
Well, and we should bring up any other issues that we feel that we want to bring up.
There were a couple things, right?
Yeah.
We talked about a privacy fence or whatever we're gonna do, we talked about buffers.
Your
A
mic.
bunch of different numbers were thrown around in terms of buffers.
Can't hear you.
Use your mic.
Hello? Can you hear me?
Right there in front of you, see it?
Hello?
There you go.
Buffers. We talked about buffers. I don't know that we got a clear answer that 30 feet, 60 feet, 50 feet, what we're allowed to require and not require.
We can go up to 50,
We
Jason.
could go up to 50.
Yeah.
Or the,
Privacy fencing.
we could.
We haven't, but we
Well,
could.
I'm just saying, these are unanswered questions. These
Correct.
are reasons to
Correct.
continue this, right?
Yep.
The neighbors are gonna have a dumpster in their backyard, potentially. These are things that we need to clear up.
Yeah,
I think
that-
we talked about a
and
lot
then
of stuff
it's
today.
only, it's, could go to 50 feet or a mitigation of some sort
Yep.
to mitigate a lesser distance. So it's an either or. You can go to 50, we could say only 30 is enough, but we also can say, hey, you go to 30, but in order to do that, you gotta put some kind of a privacy fence or vegetation to protect it.
We talked about traffic and widening lanes. I think we need to be careful what we wish for because there's no sidewalks on that street as it is. A wider street, faster moving traffic. I'm just
Yeah.
throwing things out there.
They're all good.
Yeah.
All right, are we ready to continue until,
Well, that's the question.
when are we continuing?
We
Well,
need.
We gotta give them some direction, not just.
Realistically, we're looking at October 20th because we need time, the applicant needs time to revise their plans. And then in turn, internally with staff, we have to get a contract. October 20th? October 20th is wide open right now.
So I move we continue the hearing until 6:30 on October 20th.
But I want to bring some, before I do that, there's some issues that we got to make sure that we bring forward for them to work on to set that date. I don't have a problem with the date, but we got to give them some direction so that we just don't continue it. Okay, well.
I think
Jay, you
everything
did-
we've said and all the comments and the discussion we've had today yeah, I think you guys get the idea
We
too.
do, thank you. We have
You
a-
know,
we have a-
and
a
I know
list.
you hear us, and if it happens, it's got to happen the right way, and you know where all the concerns are. So my advice would just be to take a look within and come back with something new on the 20th that addresses some of that and your solutions to some of that, and it might alleviate a lot of the stress in this room and in the neighborhood, and I would do that. So.
October
Yeah.
20th.
We don't have to put specifics down, they know what they have to do.
Certainly before October 20th, we're shooting it into Concom. I'm sorry. Yes, hopefully very shortly. We're shooting to get into Concom very soon, so certainly before October 20th.
So we'll need at least 3 weeks prior on our end, so we couldn't get it a week before October 20th. That wouldn't give us enough time to turn it around. So cut
I
the
think
time.
September 30th, can you do it by then?
Okay.
All right. Is there a second?
Okay.
A second.
I have a motion seconded that continue this hearing to October 20th at 6:30. Any further discussion? Here none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks for listening and thanks for talking. Good
Thank
discussion.
you, appreciate your time.
Okay, back to the regular meeting.
Tom,
Yeah. Site plan for 591, no, that's gone.
Drawn.
Withdrawn. Site plan, 60 Orchard Hill Drive back. That's continued. City Council petition, 3-36, Glen Eaton. Executive Director, Montezuma Regional Planning Commission, request to amend zoning ordinance to replace Article 56 15 accessory apartments with new Article 15 that complies with recently passed state law and make other changes to implement the new ordinance. Planning board to make recommendation to city council.
That was continued to receive the red line copy and clarification.
Right.
Yeah, the next one we have to go.
Okay, so that one is continued with red line copy. And city council petition 4-6 Glen Eaton, Executive Director, Montezuma Regional Planning Commission, request amend zoning ordinance to add MFOD to abbreviations table overlay district Article 3 Planning Board. That's the easiest one we've ever had.
Motion to approve. I don't even know if it needed an amendment.
Yeah.
It's just a scrivener's error, but.
It's just a positive recommendation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, my motion.
So make a positive recommendation. A positive recommendation to the city council. Any discussion here on the call for the vote? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion carries. Communications. Susan Shalfo Zephyr, Brandon Robbins, Council at Large, Ward 1 Councilor Robert M2T, and 10 registered voters request to amend the zoning ordinance pertaining to MU2 zoning. Planning board to schedule open public
Say we
hearing.
schedule it for the same night.
October 20th.
October 20th.
6:35.
Is that within the 65 days?
Yes.
Okay.
So I have a motion made and seconded to schedule it for October 20th at 6:35. Any discussion? Here none, a call for the vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. Motion carries. Elizabeth Wood, on behalf of Planning Board, requests to amend zoning ordinance pertaining to battery energy storage systems. Planning Board to schedule open public. This could take some time.
We actually
There's a
have to
number
do
of issues we're gonna have to talk on this
the
one.
65 days would be October 20th, but if you want to get to the meeting, continue it further, you can do that.
So let's skip
So
it.
October
Because it's just our
20th.
petition.
Oh, this is the answer.
It's our petition about battery storage. So this is-
Yeah.
Is this gonna be?
Can we do battery storage before that?
How long do you think discussion, Elizabeth?
How about the first meeting in October?
We have 4 things for that.
No, that.
We
a
have to
full
advertise.
agenda. We have a full agenda.
Oh, I could
for
advertise
the
this week.
First meeting in October.
Is this gonna be involved?
Oh,
It could be.
Can't-
We could have audience participation.
So why don't we just,
So do it October
can we
20th.
schedule this for the 20th and knowing we continue it, or is that?
Yeah, that's what I was saying. If we run
Yeah.
out of time, we'll make
So
it.
October
It's our
20th at
petition.
6:40?
Yeah.
Okay, okay.
Yep.
And we're planning to schedule.
6:40.
Okay, October 20th, 6:40.
We'll just,
Okay. Any discussion here? None, call for the vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion carries.
Motion to adjourn.
Director's report.
Oh,
No more. Nothing to add.
I'm sorry.
You can skip me. It's
Executive
okay.
session, then.
I don't have.
Motion to
Motion
adjourn.
to adjourn. That's my motion.
I forgot. Oh, I'm gonna say
Oh.
something now. Mr. Brady, you
It's
made a
related to
comment.
them. It's different than solar.
You made a comment at the beginning that there were members of the community that weren't here because they thought this was going to be continued. But that was never announced from the planning department or the planning board. So I don't know. I just want to make that clear, that that wasn't anything. I don't, yeah, it wasn't, so I don't know. It
Okay,
wasn't
then-
done for any,
I must have mistook a comment from a member of this board.
Yeah.
It
okay.
must have been my misunderstanding, but it didn't seem that way.
Okay.
All right, everyone.
That's all. We got all the information.
Yeah.
Oh, are we adjourned?
Yes. All in favor, say aye.
Shut the mics off.